Yo, Atlas speaking, and welcome to part 9 of What If I Was Reincarnated in the World of Pokemon and Became the Greatest Pokemon Tactician. Let the tale begin. Chapter 221. Alex looked at the unconscious Fiero and couldn't help but think about what would have happened if this Pokemon was at his peak strength. Although the difference between LV-49 and LV-52 is not that great, in this case, it would make a huge difference. These 3 levels could have seriously negated a large chunk of the damage that Fiero received from Alex's Pokemon. The level represents the amount of life energy a Pokemon has. Life energy is like a skin layer covering the Pokemon's whole body, protecting it from diseases and attacks. Besides, it also amplified any attack from a Pokemon passively. This is also why if the level difference happens to be too great, the damage received by a Pokemon will be immensely decreased. With a level difference of 8 in the elite rank, even Alex's Pokemon's buffed up attack would have hardly affected this Fiero. That is the difference between partial damage and superficial damage. Alex looked at Fiero and started thinking about what to do with him. Unfortunately, powerful elite Pokemon are not very popular among the sellers. Alex remembered a book he had read. In this book, it was said that the chances of conquering a Pokemon are influenced by 3 main reasons: level, talent, and age. Of course, there are other factors like the trainer's strength/competence, Pokemon species, personality, etc. But these 3 are the most important. Level. A Pokemon that has reached elite rank will make it a lot more difficult for the trainer to conquer it if he does not have another elite rank Pokemon. Of course, it also depends on the level of both Pokemon. The probability of succeeding in conquering a Pokemon is on average 25% if the Pokemon is on level 40, 10% if the Pokemon is on level 50, 0.1% if the Pokemon is on level 59. These figures are just general probabilities, but it shows how difficult it is to conquer even a level 40 elite rank Pokemon. The trainers, who try to conquer an elite Pokemon, almost always have to have a Pokemon stronger than the one they are trying to conquer to even have the above-mentioned probability. But even with these major disadvantages, Pokemon are relatively sellable between LV-40 and LV-50. Though the price is not good if it is not on the S rank. Talent, the arrogance, self-confidence, or you may say ego, is directly proportional to the talent of a Pokemon, which makes conquering a talented Pokemon much more difficult. Fortunately, conquering a talented Pokemon is not that difficult when it is still young or, at least, has not reached the elite rank. Age. Age is also a very important factor if you want to conquer a Pokemon. As a rule, older Pokemon are more difficult to conquer compared to young Pokemon. There are many reasons for this, but the main reason is probably habit and pride. When all these 3 main factors are against you, it is nearly impossible to conquer a Pokemon even if you have a champion-ranked team. This is also a reason why old Pokemon are extremely unpopular and are seldom bought. Compared to the other 2 factors, talent and level, age is a little more significant, such that it is always more difficult to conquer an old Pokemon. Although old Pokemon have experience, the experience of a wild Pokemon is not worth much and even disadvantageous if you have to break their bad habits. Not to mention, these Pokemon hardly have any potential to grow. Old Pokemon are highly unpopular and are mostly not kept by trainers after they have caught them. Alex looked at Fiero and called Vulpix and shoved it back into their Pokeballs. Then he put the 2 Pokeballs in his backpack so that these 2 Pokemon could not see anything. After covering the 2 young Pokemon's sight, he said with an emotionless tone, "Crobat, kill him quickly." Although dead Pokemon is almost useless, it doesn't mean that it can't be sold as a corpse for a good price. Alex didn't feel bad about killing a Pokemon that was actively attacking his family. He even finds that it is almost self-defensive. Not that it matters. He has already killed for less. Crobat flew in front of Fiero and used Wing Attack to cut Fiero's head straight off. After a Pokemon is unconscious and its life energy is severely weakened, it is no longer unmanageable to kill a Pokemon spontaneously. Crobat, Scizor, and Eevee all had indifferent expressions when they saw this bloody scene. Gardevoir, Bastiodon, and Ditto had slightly different facial expressions but did not react very much. Blaziken was the Pokemon that showed the most reaction. First shock, then disgust, and later, slight sadness too. Alex could easily read these emotions of Blaziken but said nothing and continued to watch how she reacts. He felt that his daughter now has to deal with the bloody side of this world or that she won't be able to really grow up. Of course, he doesn't want to overload her, so he watched her closely. After Alex had packed the body in his TRH device, he noticed that Blaziken was feeling better than before. Her eyes were somewhat more relaxed, even if they were still a little messed up. Alex picked up the 2 Pokeballs from his backpack and took out the 2 young Pokemon. Vulpix, who had finally left her Pokeball, looked at her father and pouted, "Father, why did you send us to the Pokeballs? That is unfair. We did nothing wrong." Shuppet said nothing but looked at Alex with an expression of curiosity. Alex looked at them both with a warm smile and said, "I'm sorry. I know that you didn't do anything wrong. I just had to discuss a very important topic with the others. A talk where only adults can participate." Vulpix continued to pout and started to ignore her father when she went to Gardevoir to complain about Alex. Shuppet didn't show any expression but went to Alex. He hugged him and followed Vulpix. Alex looked at them both with a genial expression. Chapter 222, Alex and his Pokemon continued through this vast and giant mountain range for several hours before Alex reached the place marked on the map. He had to cross 2 small mountains before reaching his destination. Luckily, the physical strength of people in this world is much better compared to his older world. Otherwise, it would have been quite a challenging journey to cover this distance so quickly. Not to mention, the exhaustion from such a journey can be dangerous, as it may lower one's guard due to fatigue. Alex found many Pokemon on the path and was even frequently attacked by them. The Pokemon in this mountain area were much more aggressive than the Pokemon from other places Alex has been to. Almost all Pokemon in this area attacked Alex after seeing his group, even if they were much weaker. Fortunately, there were only a few elite Pokemon among these attackers, while many had excellent potential. He was able to catch 16 silver Pokemon in that short time. Alex could now understand a little why many trainers come to this area despite the high risk. He had also removed Everstone from Eevee after it had gotten dim. Alex had 1 scale filled with normal type energy for 3 weeks by a champion rank Exploud of SS rank talent and 1 top Moonstone. These 2 should be enough to get Eevee to the shallow diamond rank. He believed that his friendship with Eevee should now be incredibly high and that it shouldn't be a problem for Eevee to evolve into Umbreon. Alex hoped it would happen this night itself. Although he doesn't quite know 100% how evolution works in this world, he thinks that he should, at least, have fulfilled all the basic requirements. Alex looked around for a good 1 versus 1 opponent for Eevee and saw a perfect opponent only 100 meters away, hiding in the open field. Pokemon, Graveler. LV, 42. Type, Rock/Ground. Ability, Sturdy. Gender, Male. Alex had almost overlooked him because of how well this Graveler had camouflaged himself. But thanks to the system, he was able to spot him. More than half of his body seems to be in the ground too, so it was not surprising that Alex couldn't recognize him without the help of the system. Alex looked in the direction of Eevee and said, "This one is yours." Eevee simply gave a firm nod. Although this Pokemon can self-destruct, Alex had no worries of Eevee freezing like Blaziken at such a critical moment, reducing the danger of this move. So he wasn't afraid of him using self-destruct as a last resort. As long as Eevee reacts quickly enough and runs away, this move should not pose a threat to Eevee's life. Of course, there were other safety nets for the unlikely event that Eevee may not be in a condition to save herself. Alex wondered if he should let Eevee buff herself before the fight but decided against it because he wanted to keep it a fair fight. He's not sure how experience and leveling up exactly function in this world. But he thinks it would probably benefit Eevee more if she wins a fight in such a manner. Even if that is not the case, it is crucial to gain such combat experience. Graveler had spotted Alex and his group the whole time but didn't move. He hoped that this group just wouldn't notice him and would pass by. He had lived a long time and had already met several people who have entered these mountains with their Pokemon. Graveler has had a lot of excruciating experiences, so he prefers to avoid a fight, especially against such a strong trainer like this one. Alex can be considered better than an average elite trainer with his large number of elite Pokemon. An average elite trainer usually only has 1 or 2 low elite Pokemon with little potential. Only a few elite trainers manage to train a mid-elite Pokemon. And even fewer elite trainers succeed in training a high elite Pokemon. For most trainers, the elite rank is the goal, and not much growth is possible after that. But for a few talented trainers like Alex, elite rank is just the beginning and not the end. Graveler saw Alex's group getting closer and closer and couldn't stay still after the group was only 30 meters away. He gave a warning cry and observed Alex's group with watchful eyes. Alex smiled when he said, "Eevee, use Toxic." Graveler realized that he couldn't escape this group without a fight and started preparing a move. Eevee, who started preparing her move earlier, finished first and hit Graveler with the toxic liquid, who was unable to move since he was preparing his own move. Alex felt this fight could go on for a while, so he had already considered a strategy that would work well in this fight. Eevee, use Charm. Graveler used Stealth Rock and created several flying sharp stones orbiting Eevee. This ensures that Eevee would now suffer damage if it runs around the battlefield fast. That one move made a hit-and-run tactic almost entirely futile. Alex was a bit impressed that this Pokemon had used such a clever move so early in this fight. He immediately recognized what he had to prevent and what condition he needed to fulfill for his victory. For a wild Pokemon, this is really a bit special, especially when you consider the species of Graveler generally have a low IQ, no offense. Eevee gave a melodious cry, and invisible energy hit Graveler, who felt his body become a bit weaker. Graveler turned furious and ran towards Eevee as he prepared, Headbutt. Eevee, use Work Up while slowly building up the distance. Although Eevee can no longer run fast without suffering damage, she can still delay the time before Graveler comes into attack range. Graveler finished his move prior to Eevee. But because he was out of range, he couldn't use his move yet. Eevee took the chance and used Work Up immediately. Eevee, Alex said with a calm voice, used the same move 2 more times. Thanks to Stealth Rock, Graveler was finally able to come within attack range and immediately began to use his before-prepared move. Eevee tried to dodge but failed and was hit by Headbutt. She showed an emotionless face as she suffered this attack. Alex could tell immediately that this hit only caused her 20% of HP, despite it being an expert rank move and Eevee not having a particularly good def. It seems that the preparation was worth it. Let's reduce the damage a little more, Alex thought when he saw this. Eevee, Alex said with no change appearing on his calm face, just make sure he doesn't hit your head and keep using Work Up. Graveler also noticed that the damage was not very big. But since it was still relatively good, he decided to prepare another Headbutt. He felt that it would only take 3 or 4 more Headbutt to win this fight. As long as he doesn't pass out during this time, he should win this fight. Although he was poisoned, he felt that its effect was not very strong. Graveler didn't think he was going to be defeated by this weak Pokemon anytime soon. Chapter 223, Eevee and Graveler both used the same moves for a while. After 2 more buffs, Alex felt that Eevee had the victory in her non-existent pocket. Okay, Eevee, use Double Kick. Graveler realized that his opponent was finally going on the offensive. But he didn't care much as it didn't change what he had to do. He had to focus on dealing as much damage as possible to defeat this Eevee quickly. He stopped thinking about it as he prepared his next move. Eevee already had lots of minor injuries on her body and looked as if she wouldn't be able to take this fight too long. Alex felt that Eevee had 45% to 50% HP left. It's not much but still more than enough to execute his plan. Graveler finished first and used Headbutt once again on Eevee, who did not manage to dodge this attack. Eevee, who had already suffered a lot of damage, continued to show an impassive face as if she felt no pain. Alex knew that Eevee was still in her calm state and not in her frenzy mode. As long as Eevee is not triggered with particular actions, she will maintain this calm state in combat. This trigger had already been pulled by an attacking Pokemon today when it insulted her family members. Its insult was plain stupid and childish, but Eevee reacted to it with extreme aggressiveness. Her eyes turned red from the anger, and she immediately started tearing that relatively feeble Pokemon into pieces. Alex and his other Pokemon couldn't react in time as Eevee hit a LV-25 Pokemon, killing it instantly, and began to tear its body to pieces. Nobody expected that such a childish insult would make Eevee so angry, leading to such brutal actions from her. After that, Alex had a chat with Eevee, once again, hoping that something like that wouldn't happen again. Although Alex had talked to Eevee and Eevee had promised not to do something like that anymore, Alex believed this promise itself didn't hold much weight. Despite the fact that Eevee had made the promise with earnestness, she just can't hold herself back. Something like that was bound to happen again if someone crosses Eevee's line of limit. Only the family members of Eevee are an exception and apparently cannot exceed this limit. Eevee finally got done and used double kick, which made Graveler's body ache. Although Eevee dealt good damage, she had suffered a lot too, which Alex didn't plan to keep that way. Eevee, use rest. Now that both rest and sleep talk are on the expert rank, these moves are finally usable. Although they were previously usable, the cons were far too great to be used effectively in combat. These moves have to be trained at least on the expert rank before they are halfway usable, in Alex's opinion. Graveler saw all Eevee's injuries being healed, and a grim expression spread on his face. He knew that he had to take this opportunity and deal as much damage as possible to this Eevee while she was in a sleep state. Eevee, use Sleep Talk. Sleep Talk, on the expert rank, is the perfect complementary move for the rest. Not only can it be used when a Pokemon is sleeping, but the preparation time is always the same regardless of which random move is executed. Alex even read that when Sleep Talk is trained to master rank, you even get to choose the moves a Pokemon uses, and it is no longer random. According to Alex, Eevee has an almost invincible moveset with these innate talent moves. As long as Eevee evolves to Umbreon and trains both of these moves to master rank, she should be invincible while fighting Pokemon at the same level. As long as she doesn't take enormous damage at once or has to fight a buffed up Pokemon like Scizor, she should not lose. Graveler and Eevee both started spamming their moves over and over again, and you could quickly see which of them had the upper hand. Eevee again suffered fair damage from 2, Headbutt, but reciprocated by hitting Graveler twice, Bite and Double Edge. Although these attacks didn't do much harm to Graveler, Graveler's body was starting to look worse as the fight prolonged. Graveler was poisoned at the beginning of the fight. And this extended fight, along with these attacks, only worsened his condition. What was even worse is that after this exchange of moves, Eevee woke up. Graveler looked desperately in the direction of Eevee before turning back, running away. He felt that this fight was no longer possible to win and didn't want to use self-destruct as his last resort, so he decided to make a run for it. Even though he knew he was too slow, he hoped the human was too lazy or prideful to chase after him. Many strong Pokemon had a big ego, so he hoped that this trainer was like them, too. Unfortunately, he realized his foolishness when he was hunted by the main members of the team. Graveler, Scizor, and Crobat all used a move, and Graveler dropped to the ground, along with his escape plan buried deep into the underground. While Alex was thinking about his next step, he suddenly saw a bright light in this darkness. He looked in the direction of Eevee and showed an excited expression. Alex immediately got one top moonstone, and the scale of the champion rank exploded from his TRH device. He gave these items to Eevee and waited excitedly with his Pokemon. Pokemon, Umbreon. LV, 42. Type, Dark. Ability, Synchronize. Gender, Female. Alex saw the 3 new moves along with the upgraded potential and couldn't help but show a luminous smile. Chapter 224, Umbreon slowly opened her eyes and started checking out her new body. Alex and his Pokemon surrounded her. They, first of all, congratulated her on her new form and then started chatting with her. The atmosphere was quite cheerful. Umbreon was showing a much more gentle look compared to before and looked amiable. But Alex knew that she was like this only to her family members and otherwise is remarkably suspicious and hostile to strangers. When everyone was talking to one another, Bastiodon was suddenly alerted. "We are in danger!" Bastiodon cried out, "A large Pokemon underground is moving quickly in our direction." Before Alex or the other Pokemon could react, a large Onix burst out of the ground just 50 meters away from Alex's group. It brought its remaining body out of the underground and stood there, keeping an eye on Alex's group. Pokemon, Onix. LV, 53. Type, rock/ground. Ability, sturdy. Gender, male. Potential, deep gold. Alex saw the information of this Onix and immediately understood why Bastiodon wasn't able to discover him sooner. He also noticed that this Pokemon was not a wild Pokemon. He must have had a trainer before or still has. Crobat suddenly perceived something too and said with a grim face, "A person riding on a Pokemon is flying in our direction at a breakneck speed." Alex noticed that this situation was pretty grave. He didn't waste any time as he said telepathically, "Gardevoir, prepare teleport. Use it immediately if I give you a signal or if you happen to find a strong psychic-type Pokemon." Although he wanted to stay a while longer to find out who this Pokemon belongs to, he didn't want to take any chances. If this other trainer also has a powerful psychic-type Pokemon, Alex was not ready to take this risk and severely restrict his escape options. It is much easier to escape a powerful psychic-type Pokemon if you are far away from it or have already prepared a teleport. As long as a champion-level psychic doesn't suddenly come from the Pokeball of its trainer and interrupts, Alex can always escape. Alex didn't believe that champion-level Pokemon are so common, let alone psychic-type champion-level Pokemon. Even if this trainer has one such Pokemon, it still shouldn't be impossible to escape if Gardevoir teleports fast enough. Under the assumption that Gardevoir has already prepared teleport, Alex looked in the direction where Crobat was looking and saw only one tiny in the sky, getting bigger and bigger as it was coming closer. After a few seconds, it was so close that Alex even recognized the information of the flying Pokemon. Pokemon, Aerodactyl. LV, 50. Type, rock/flying. Abilities, pressure. Gender, male. Onix didn't show any expression the whole time and didn't move a meter. But his gigantic appearance and massive strength ensured that none of Alex's Pokemon forgets about this monster. Alex and his Pokemon did not show any aggressive behavior either and patiently waited for the trainer of this Pokemon to appear. After only 10 more seconds, the Aerodactyl arrived near Alex. Alex could finally see the trainer on the flying Pokemon. And what a surprise! The trainer landed next to Onix and looked at Alex's group with a rock-hard face with a curiosity plastered over it. Brock? Alex immediately recognized who this trainer was. That was the second time he met Brock face to face. The last time he met him was more than a half-year ago. Even though Alex knew that the trainer of these two Pokemon was Brock, he still kept a watchful eye. Although the games in his world can be used as a reference for the character of a trainer, it simply cannot rely on it. Assuming that character would be the same in this world is a foolish thought. Especially since he had often seen character traits that differ from the games or anime. Brock, for example, is a powerful and influential person in this world as a gym leader and is very popular with women. Also, he's a lot older now than he was in the games or the anime. Alex doesn't quite know what else in this world has changed, so he's not sure if Brock is really trustworthy. So he would have to be vigilant around him. Especially since Brock didn't have such a good reputation in this world. He is often referred to as a lazy, arrogant, and fun-loving person. He is also regarded as one of the least popular gym leaders of Kanto. Of course, he was still relatively popular. But it's nothing compared to other gym leaders' popularity. "Hey, aren't you that Alex guy?" Brock said out loud, taking Alex out of his reverie, "who won the last rookie tournament?" "Yes, Gym Leader Brock, Alex gave a fake smile and said, I'm Alex. It is my honor that such a famous person like you recognizes me. Ha ha ha, Brock, hearing Alex's words, immediately laughed out loud. I understand, I am great. But no need to be excited about it, boy. Chapter 225, looking at Brock's attitude, Alex couldn't help but be a little disappointed. He felt that Brock's character was quite imperious. It was really no wonder that, after a few years, he would become the weakest gym leader despite no longer having the title of youngest gym leader. Alex also felt that Brock didn't have much growth left. His Pokémon seemed to be at their limit. Alex knew that Brock got his Onix from his father, Flint, at the age of 10. That gave him a great head start. He had the feeling that Brock wasn't training much after seeing the potential of Brock's Pokémon. He didn't think Brock would ever be anything but a weak gym leader. Gym leaders' strengths in this world range so much that you can find a gym leader with Elite 4 strength to a gym leader like Brock. A regular elite trainer may find Brock's strength unrivaled. But for Alex, he was just a mediocre person in this world full of powerful men. If an Elite 4 member can defeat your entire team with only one Pokémon and your Pokémon don't have any room left for improvement, you would never be a part of the big league, according to Alex. Even Misty is way better than Brock in terms of talent or character. Alex is sure that after 2 years, Misty will be as strong as Brock even though she is much younger. So, what are you doing here in such a dangerous area? Brock continued his haughty demeanor as he said, trainers like you have no business here. Without having, at least, the same strength as me, you are as good as dead here, rookie. Brock said the last word filled with mocking. Alex couldn't believe what an arrogant prick this guy was. Why is this third-class trainer addressing me as rookie even though he clearly knows my name? Alex thought, and this tone. What is up with that? Does he think of himself as some prodigy? Does he think everyone started training at the same age as him with the same resources? Without the help of his father, this untalented bastard wouldn't even be able to talk to me. Alex knew that he shouldn't anger this guy. But he also wanted to protect his pride. Especially since his family was present here. Disrespecting him in front of his family is like disrespecting his family to him. He can't allow that. Alex stopped with his fake smile and looked straight into Brock's eyes. No offense, but that's none of your business. Also, I find the term rookie very inappropriate for me. So I would suggest you call me by my name, Alex. Normally, Alex wouldn't stay so humble and formal around such guys. But because he doesn't want to make unnecessary enemies with someone with such a high position, he tried to suppress his emotion. Although his position in the Alliance is good enough that he doesn't have to worry, it is always advisable not to make powerful enemies unnecessarily. Brock looked angry when he heard such words from Alex. He felt as if he was being looked down on even though he was so high in the sky. He found Alex's way of winning in his last tournament very despicable and thought that the fame that Alex got was very unjustified. Alex gained sudden popularity because of his victory, and it was many times more than the winners from previous years. The reason was, of course, that he was the first participant to win this tournament despite not being in the top 3 of the power ranking. He had done something that was considered impossible and was often used as a joke. Brock gave Alex a stern look and said, I called you rookie because you are a weak trainer. A rookie trainer. When you get strong enough, I will call you by your name, rookie. And I would decide whether it is my business or not that you stay here or not. I'm the one who has the power here. So you better understand your position. Now that you understand who's the boss here, you better show some respect. And an apology would be very appropriate. Alex couldn't help but feel the irony here. Just when he tried to be diplomatic and be as humble as he can in a long time, the situation escalates. This guy just wanted to show off his power and push around the trainers weaker than him. All the Pokémon were looking at Alex with tense faces. They were wondering what will he do. Sizer and Crobat, in particular, had grim faces. Gardevoir kept a calm demeanor, but she was worried for her father. Blaziken was fuming with anger and was gritting her teeth. Bastiodon was prepared to tank an attack if such a situation arises. Eevee just wanted to kill this guy, but she remembered her promise to her father. But her aggressiveness couldn't be hidden. But no one would blame her this time. Vulpix was curious to see how Alex would handle the situation. She was also angry at this guy, who came out of nowhere and insulted her father. While Shuppet was wondering whether he should go and hug Alex. And well, ditto, he was ditto. You couldn't see any emotion on its face. But he shared similar feelings like others. Everyone thought about how after going through all of this struggle to get strong in such a short time, this guy shows up from nowhere and pushes down Alex. And why should they be the ones to apologize? Mr. Brock, I don't like being pushed around, Alex said in a threatening voice, so, I would recommend you to not offend people. Especially the ones who can be a threat to your life in the future. To be honest, I wonder how you have survived so far without offending the wrong person. Maybe it's because you only threaten people weaker than you. Quite bold of you, huh? Brock was arrogant but not stupid. So he understood that if he said something wrong now, this Alex guy would be an enemy in the future. Normally, Brock wouldn't care. But because Alex has a good position in the Alliance and is rather talented, so he hesitated a bit. He himself didn't know exactly why he was so rude to Alex. But somehow, he couldn't stand Alex. And the last words of Alex didn't help in calming down his emotions either. So, let me get this straight. You're giving a gym leader a death threat. You know that I can arrest you for it, right? Alex starts to laugh when he said, haha, use a method like that to scare kids. Please, don't insult my intelligence with such a stupid threat. Hearing Alex's reply, Brock felt an urge to go down and beat the respect into this guy. The way Alex was looking down at him as if he was better than him. The arrogance. The contempt. It just bothered him too much. One thing's for sure, you have a big mouth. Real men fight with their Pokemon, not that you can understand something like that. Brock showed a proud face, almost on the edge of turning into a smug one, as he said, so if you are a man, fight me. Or are you one of those cowards who can only blabber with their big mouth? Alex, who heard so many stupid statements in a row, felt more and more, should he say, disappointment, from Brock. He felt like he was talking to an arrogant, stupid, stubborn kid and not a person who has power in the Alliance. Nepotism is apparently just as much a problem here as it is in my old world, thought Alex when he started to find this situation funny. Brock saw that Alex only sighed in the reply and said with an arrogant smile, what's going on? Why the sudden silence? Did you finally realize who you are up against? Alex's good mood vanished right there, and he couldn't help but facepalm. He said telepathically, Gardevoir, take us out of here. The longer I talk to this idiot, the more brain cells I lose. Gardevoir gave a small smile and nodded. The next second, Alex and his family vanished from there. Brock saw Alex and his team teleporting away and thought that he got scared and ran away. I knew that this Alex wasn't half as good as everyone says. Chapter 226, Alex and his other Pokemon suddenly appeared in an area where they had briefly rested 1 hour ago. There were only some bushes around. But hills protected them from the sun here. So it was the best place to take a break. Alex didn't really feel real anger for Brock's childish behavior. I was more like disappointment, along with contempt. What bothered Alex the most about Brock was not his character but that idiot doesn't try to improve his Pokemon's talent to SS rank. He had a deep gold Onix, but he doesn't seem interested in turning him into a shallow diamond Steelix with a valuable steel-type item. Admittedly, Brock doesn't have the same knowledge as Alex of Pokemon's potential, but Alex finds the behavior very stupid. Even if you think that there is a slim chance that Onix will become an SS rank Steelix after the evolution, you should still do it. What is he waiting for? Besides, Steelix is many times better than Onix. This is not an optional evolution like Scyther and Scizor, where you can't say for sure that Scizor is absolutely better. Both have base stats of 500, and both have good moveset. Alex could list more than 10 reasons why Steelix is better than Onix. There is only one thing where Onix is better than Steelix. And that Onyx is faster than Steelix. This is the only real advantage Alex can think of. Alex can only imagine that Brock, for whatever reason, prefers Onyx species much more. These things make Alex a lot more angry than Brock's childish behavior. To him, it looked like a very talented Pokemon was given to a mentally handicapped trainer by his powerful father. Alex doesn't think Brock could have ever become a gym leader without the help of his father. Although Brock is probably not totally useless as a trainer, Alex just felt that Brock was, at the most, slightly above average. After this conversation, Alex didn't want to talk to Brock again anytime soon. Even if he becomes a more powerful and influential trainer than Brock in the future, Alex will not go after Brock specifically. Alex doesn't think Brock is really someone who would try to harm him with his power. Brock is just a stupid and spoiled kid who doesn't have anything to do. It's a shame that it is so difficult to conquer an elite Pokemon and almost impossible if they are of other trainers. Or else, I would have probably stolen Onyx from him in the future after becoming strong, thought Alex with a playful smile. He started to chuckle a little after thinking about it some more. He assumed for a second that conquering an elite Pokemon, who already has a trainer, isn't that hard. And he also has a champion-level Pokemon, making it easier for him. Even then, he wouldn't try to steal that Onyx. Because Alex isn't crazy enough to try to rob a gym leader. Robbing or attacking a gym leader is no joke, and he will feel the full force of the Alliance chasing him. A shallow diamond Pokemon is worth a lot, but not enough for the whole world chasing after you. At least not for Alex. Maybe if it was a deep diamond Pokemon, Alex would give it a thought. Alex looked around and noticed that it was starting to get dark and that it shouldn't take long before the sun sets down. Gardevoir, remember this place and teleport us back to town. Alex, who had a Psychic-type Pokemon on elite rank, had no reason to sleep in such a dangerous place. He can simply teleport back to town with the help of Gardevoir and teleport back to the same place where he is now early in the morning. Pewter City. Alex was walking down the street when he suddenly got a call. He looked up the screen to see who was calling. It was Lisa. Executive Lisa. Alex was slightly intrigued as he answered the call and said, "Why are you calling me so late?" "Hello to you too, Alex darling," said Lisa in her trademark tone. "Good evening, Executive Lisa." Alex just shook his head as he said, "Now, can you tell me what's going on?" "Good boy," Lisa said in an amused tone while nodding to herself. "See, that wasn't so difficult." Alex suddenly felt a strong urge to throw his TRH device on the floor and stomp on it several times. He managed to calm himself down by inwardly saying to himself, "She's just kidding. Don't let yourself be provoked. Take a deep breath and calm your mind." Alex didn't know why, but as soon as he heard "good boy," he couldn't help but get really mad. He felt that this title was very insulting when thinking about how and when Lisa probably uses it. He said in a detached tone, "Executive Lisa, if you called me just to annoy me, I will be hanging up now." "Oh, someone is quite sensitive today," then, suddenly playful tone changed to a serious one. "All right, let's be serious and get to the topic." Alex felt that today was really a bad day. Not only did he have to hear the stupid statements from Brock, but also from Lisa, who was particularly annoying today. "Alex, I need your help with this tiny little thing." "And what is this tiny little thing we are talking about?" "Though I owe a few small favors, I won't accept a mission that's too big." "It's not really a big deal. You won't need more than 6 hours to complete this assignment, probably, and there won't be any danger to you, too." "Executive Lisa, just put the cards on the table and tell me directly what you want me to do." "Okay. I want you to accompany Lars to a relatively safe area so that he can gain a bit of experience there and possibly catch a good Pokemon. You only have to accompany him for 1 day, and then you owe me no more favors." Alex couldn't help but raise his eyebrow as this took him by surprise. This was not something he expected. Chapter 227. Several thoughts immediately started rushing through Alex's head. Why does she want me to go with Lars and protect him? Is he a baby that would need a babysitter? Why can't he just train alone? Wait a minute. Is this his first experience? Has Lars really not experienced any relatively dangerous situation in these 6 months? Is this really his first time in a dangerous area? Even if that's true, why does she want me to babysit Lars for his first relatively dangerous job? Is he very useful as a subordinate? He shouldn't be worth it that she wants me to protect him like that. Wait. That means that Lisa considers Lars to be so important that she even wants to protect him in a relatively dangerous environment for trainers. Suddenly there was a gleeful grin on the face of Alex. I can only imagine 2 reasons why Lisa wants to protect him. Either she sees something valuable in Lars, which is highly unlikely, or she has an emotional attachment to him. If that's the second reason, I can use it pretty well if necessary. Although Maria and Lisa are friends, you never know what will happen in the future. Knowing Lisa's weak point is definitely an advantage that might come in helpful in the future. Alex chuckled as he said, "Haha, Executive Lisa, I wasn't expecting that you would ask something like this from me. I didn't know that Lars was so important to you." I wonder why is that so? Lisa didn't say anything for a few seconds before saying in an ice-cold tone, "That's none of your business. No reason to be so rude." "We're friends," Alex smirked as he said, "Don't worry, I'll protect your little treasure for you." Ha ha ha. Alex couldn't help but laugh out loud at the end. He didn't know why, but he found this very funny. He suddenly found a way to annoy Lisa. The tables had turned. He could suddenly hear a loud noise through the TRH device and then a male's scream. Lisa is probably venting her anger on someone else, Alex thought when he heard this noise. She said sternly, "Alex, come to my office tomorrow morning," and cut the call without waiting for Alex's confirmation. Alex, who was not afraid of Lisa's anger, enjoyed his little revenge on Lisa. Both of them annoy each other just for fun, and it doesn't influence the relationship they have with each other. And that's because neither is that stupid to take offense from a joke. Alex had chosen Crobat to be the outside while they were in the town, so he was just there, overhearing this whole conversation. He said with a disdain look, "Are you a kid? What was up with that?" Alex's humor is peculiar, and it is rare for him to laugh out so loud. Maybe he was enjoying this moment a bit too much. His jolly mood stayed unchanged when he heard Crobat. Alex said with an ironic look and a smirk, "You think that's childish? What about the childish bickering you and Sizer have every other day?" Crobat, who couldn't think of a good counter, moved his head sideways and started ignoring Alex. He was suddenly on the lookout for hidden enemies in the middle of the city. Alex rolled his eyes, straight face, and found a place where he can safely change his face. He planned to go back to the underground base of Team Rocket to sleep. He would go for Lisa's mission tomorrow. Pewter City, Team Rocket underground base. Alex opened his eyes and stretched his body. He slowly got out of his bed and went to the wash basin with his groggy eyes. He first splashed water on his face to get out of this sleepy state before going on to brush his teeth and take a shower. After sending a message to Lisa and agreeing upon a time, he started preparing breakfast for everyone. Although he felt that it was a waste of time to look after Lars for a whole day, it was worth it if he gets rid of all of Lisa's debts of favors in exchange for it. After Alex and his Pokemon had their fill of the food, it was time to meet Lisa. He went with his fake face in the direction of Lisa's office and only needed a few minutes before he stood in front of the door of her office. Alex knocked and went into the room only after hearing the words "come in." Only Lisa and Lars were there, sitting next to each other and having some kind of breakfast. Alex suppressed his urge to greet Lars with the words, "Lars, I'm surprised that you are not eating your breakfast under the table." He heard from Bran how he had once seen Lars under Lisa's table, and the mental damage he received due to the imagination was not small. Alex didn't say these words at the end because he felt that these words were a bit too disrespectful. After all, Lisa is still his superior, even if it's only in the name. And he shouldn't overdo it with his jokes. "Alex," Lisa smiled as she said, "thank you for taking this assignment." "No problem," Alex gave a polite smile, "after all, I owe you the favor." "Okay, I only have one request for you," Lisa gave a gratified smile, "protect the life of Lars and his Pokemon while they train in this forest." I've already explained to Lars in detail how he has to behave so that you don't have to worry about him causing you a problem. Lars just watched and said nothing when both talked about him. Alex looked in the direction of Lars and nodded. That's good. I was worried that it might turn out more troublesome than you gave out initially. Don't worry, Lisa looked at Lars and said with a sadistic but loving smile, he won't disagree with an order from me. Lars blushed and looked in the direction of Lisa with a warm look. Alex, who saw this scene, suddenly wanted to leave this room as soon as possible. BDSM is not his thing, and this type of relationship makes him very uncomfortable. Okay, let's go, Lars, Alex said, not wanting to stay here any longer. Also, Lisa, if I have an emergency, I'll contact you. So you don't have to worry. Lisa nodded and gave Lars a particular look. Lars seemed to have understood it as he nodded in reply. Alex, who saw this exchange between Lisa and Lars, was 99% sure that Lisa was protecting Lars because of emotional reasons. Although he didn't fully understand what great qualities Lars had that Lisa fancied, that had nothing to do with him. Just knowing this fact was beneficial enough. Chapter 228, Vidian Forest. Alex, wearing his Ditto mask, was together with Lars in the beginning part of the forest. Vidian Forest's outer area is very safe and a good training place for rookie trainers. But that does not mean that there are no powerful Pokemon in this forest. If you go deep enough into this forest, you can even come across elite Pokemon. So it is a good training place for people with limited strength, like Lars. Alex said with an unconcerned tone, okay, let's get our Pokemon out. Lars and Alex hadn't exchanged any words so far, so the atmosphere was rather strange because of that. Although it's a bit weird, Alex prefers this to Lars talking to him. He had no interest in talking to Lars and thought that it would be best if this situation stays the same. Alex felt he understood Lars's character relatively well, or at least a few traits of it. According to Alex, Lars is a hot-headed person who will easily swallow his pride in front of a stronger person. But if he is against a person he thinks is inferior to him, then his ego would flow like the Amazon River. There is only one thing that Alex didn't quite understand before today. Why did it seem like Lars was head over heels in love with Lisa? He couldn't understand the attraction of being beaten, insulted, and mistreated. Why would you still like the person who does this to you? But after he saw the care Lisa takes of Lars today, he could understand it, a little bit. But even if he had a guess, he couldn't really understand how the relationship between Lisa and Lars works. Well, it doesn't matter. I just have to know that Lisa really has feelings for him in order to take advantage of it if such a situation arises, Alex thought as he got half of his Pokemon out of their Pokeballs. He got Gardevoir, Crobat, Bastiodon, and Umbreon out of their Pokeballs. Alex didn't want to reveal too many of his Pokemon when he is out with a Team Rocket member and has worn his Ditto mask. Although Lars was wearing regular trainer's clothes, Alex wanted to be on the safe side just in case something unexpected happens. Alex had also prepared a plan for the plausibility of this being a trap by Lisa. In such a case, he wanted to remain flexible. Alex didn't think Lisa would really try to lay a trap for him since she has no reason for it. But for a very slim chance, Alex wants to be guaranteed. Lars checked the surroundings once more before taking out 2 Pokeballs from his belt, throwing them on the floor. A Crobat and an Alakazam appeared on the ground. Alex didn't waste time and checked their information. Pokemon, Crobat. LV, 27. Type, Poison/Flying. Ability, Inner Focus. Gender, Male. Pokemon, Alakazam. LV, 32. Attribute, Psychic. Ability, Inner Focus. Gender, Male. Potential, Shallow Gold. A surprised look crept its way on Alex's face. Crobat was at such a low level despite being Shallow Silver Pokemon. After more than half a year, a good trainer with enough money can bring a Shallow Silver Pokemon to LV 30 or even LV 35. This Crobat was only level 27 despite Lars not having any money problems. It shows that he doesn't really spend much time training him. Level 27 within 6 months is fantastic for ordinary trainers. but only if you have a bronze Pokemon and not a shallow silver Pokemon while having enough financial support. But what really impressed Alex is Lars's second Pokemon. A shallow gold Alakazam reminded Alex a lot of the Alakazam from Lisa. It had 2 out of 3 of the exact innate talent moves and even looked relatively young. This third innate talent move, not similar to Lisa's Alakazam, probably came from Lisa's Alakazam's partner. Alex was pretty sure that this Alakazam was the child of Lisa's Alakazam. Mainly because he had heard a long time ago how Lars had gotten a good Pokemon from Lisa. Although this is an S-rank Psychic-type Pokemon, it should have been a Silver Pokemon or, at max, a Deep Silver Pokemon at its birth. But even if that's the case, this Pokemon is still extremely valuable. Alex also suspected that Lars was spending most of his time with Alakazam during the training. His neglect towards Crobat was visible. Other than that, he couldn't explain why a Pokemon that Lars got later, still very young, is stronger than his starter Pokemon. Although trainers in this world often do that, Alex doesn't like this type of behavior. Though he can understand why some trainers would choose to do that. When the survival rate for trainers under the elite rank is grim, and you have little money, it is not irrational to make such a decision. But why Lars, who doesn't have this problem, still neglects his start Pokemon is not understandable to Alex. Alex stopped thinking about this pointless topic and suddenly saw how Bastiodon had a confused face as he was looking at Lars. Alex asked telepathically, "Bastiodon, what's going on?" Bastiodon looked at Alex and said with a puzzled face, that person seems to have some kind of steel thing between his legs. This is the first time I've felt steel in a place like this. What is that? A steel thing between his legs? He couldn't but be a bit surprised when he thought, is that a gun or a piercing? Bastiodon, Alex asked seriously via telepathy, what shape is this steel thing between his legs? Bastiodon paused a few seconds before he said, it has a strange shape. It reminds me of armor, but it is much smaller and only protects a very small part of the body. There is also a tiny steel lock on it. It really is awful armor, if you ask me. Alex started to put the pieces together that Bastiodon had given him and facepalm inwardly. I think I know what that is, but I wish I didn't know. I should never have accepted this stupid assignment, thought Alex as he reflected upon his life decisions. End of the chapter. Yo, it's me. I just read my entire story again and I want to talk about a few things. Maybe some people find it interesting. The first thing I noticed was that the first 40 chapters are the weakest part of the story. Although I say that it is the weakest part of the story, I don't think that it is really a bad part but rather looks worse compared to the rest of the story. Although it sounds very arrogant, I think my fanfic is one of the best Pokemon fanfic. I don't think this is surprised. I don't really care when people say it's arrogant and wrong. I really think so and I can even explain why it is true. The effort and work that I put into my story may not be visible to you but built deep into the story. I've read several Pokemon fanfic, Comrade Mao and MTL and web novel that have more than 100 chapters and although I really liked a few I don't think they are comparable. I know that readers are looking for different things in a story but I wrote this story mainly for myself so it shouldn't be surprising that I have this opinion. Some want to see a fanfic that follows the anime of Pokemon and I can understand that. But then this story is not really for that person. It's hard to explain, but because I've been reading light novels and fanfics for 10,000 plus hours, I've started to hate cliched stories. I could talk for hours what is special in the story and explain it exactly, but I will just tell you keywords without explanation why, so that you can complain that it is not true and that my story sucks. Realistic world and characters. I said I won't explain it, but I have to explain it. Stray. By realistic world I don't mean that I explain it in such a way that it can happen in our world, but that the systems and rules that I have introduced into this world do not change or transform because of plot and can coexist with the other system or even improve the other system. For example, in a Chapter 1 explained how big the differences in strength are between elite Pokemon levels. In addition, in another Chapter 1 explained that Earthquake does more damage than the closer the Pokemon is from the user. And I explained almost from the beginning what the difference between normal, expert and master rank moves are. Why am I explaining this? Wait a second and you'll see why. In a later chapter, Alex fights Steven, and many of you thought that with the help of plot, Alex would win. When Caesar fought against Metagross, who is 7 level higher, and defeated with a hit from Master Rank Earthquake from close range, it shows to me that the world is realistic. The rules and systems that I have built into the world are taken into account by me and not distorted for the plot. As for the most realistic character, I will not explain this and give an example. I don't want to bore you more. As for the other special features of the story, in my opinion, characters of people and Pokemon, variety, flow, fights, and even romance, later. And I try to make my story as unpredictable as possible. I already know that some idiot will say that my story is completely predictable, but I think it's nonsense. I can even prove that it is not the case. When Alex and Misty made the bet with their rematch, many people wrote in the comments that they believed Alex would lose. Even the most liked comment from this chapter was "He will lose 100%, ch 139. But this is only one example, there is much more. Like for example when Alex meets the rich girl who wanted to buy his Ralts. Many wrote that they knew what was going to happen next, but none of them were right. Exactly the same from Kanto Rookie Tournament. Even though Alex took part, most believed that he would not win and would only take 3rd or 2nd place. If people compare that with other stories, then you can't say that this story is predictable. It's really unfair. Another example is when people sometimes say he's raising the flag, right? Look chapter 214 as an example. I do that often. I explain something and reader often think on now that he has explained that special thing it will happen too. But it doesn't happen and nobody notices why I'm doing it, at least I haven't read such a comment yet. I do this so that the readers never knows what exactly can happen, or that is at least for the most things. For example, I said before the ship trip that it was very unlikely that the ship would be attacked by a champion level wild Pokemon, and many thought that would happen next. Or how Alex walked into Daniel's home for the first time very, very carefully, but in the end his careful action made no difference. I have a lot more examples, but I think the point is now more than understood. I have so much more that I want to mention, but I think that's enough. BTW, one person asked me if I read all commas, and I want to say that no. I only read the comments from the latest chapter, and you can tell if I have read your comment if I give it a like. I do this because I notice that 30% of the comments I now get for old chapters are stupid or hate, so I feel that it is not worth it. I have no problem with criticism, but almost everyone just has garbage to say, and I quickly notice that they don't even read my chapters normally. In comparison, the people who write a comment on the latest chapter are 99% nice people, and even if they have criticism it is well founded, and I notice that these people also read my story normally. For people who read this later, you know where you can write a comment if you want me to read it. Although I sometimes reread old chapters and look at the new commas from this chapter, it is seldom the case. Especially in chapter 15. I know that many people don't like the beginning of the story and that people hate love at first sight, but I feel that people have completely exaggerated. It really wasn't half as bad as people said. When you read the commas you think that he had kneeled in front of Maria and kissed her feet, had given all his money and had declared his undying love to her. I can only roll my eyes when I read something like "the story is now ruined." Even if it seems like that, I am complaining while I am writing this. I am not in a bad mood. I just want to talk a bit about this and I have fun writing this. Okay, I don't want to waste any more time. Thanks for reading, and you will probably hear from me later or again with such an unnecessary whatever this is. Maybe. But I would not count on it. Chapter 229, Bastiodon looked at Alex and asked curiously, "Father, did you figure out what it is?" Alex, who looked into the innocent eyes of Bastiodon filled with intrigue, suddenly fell into a predicament. After a few seconds of hesitation, he said, "It is, just as you had guessed, some kind of an armor that protects that part." Bastiodon still felt confused, as this didn't solve his doubts at all. "But father, this armor is really slim, and it would prove useless in defending against any form of attack. This is the worst armor I've ever seen." Alex wondered where Bastiodon got this understanding of armor to form an assessment. But he quickly remembered that Pokemon are born with the specific knowledge that they logically shouldn't possess, which is considered very normal in this world. This knowledge appears to be very selective, and they learn it by instinct. Pokemon, for example, don't know what the internet is or how it works. But a Pokemon will suddenly learn a move for no reason or have a good understanding of it out of nowhere. This should have something to do with the gods of this world. Though there is no way to actually prove it, Alex thought curiously. Father. Father. Bastiodon saw Alex lost in thought and said, "Are you still listening to me?" "Yes, yes." "I'm listening to you," Alex, interrupted from his thoughts, said, "It's just a poorly made armor, okay?" At first, he wanted to say the words, "This armor protects something other than his life." But that would raise another question from Bastiodon, so he just chose to end this topic in a simple and direct manner. Bastiodon was still confused, but he believed in his father. In comparison, Crobat and Gardevoir showed rather skeptical looks. These two Pokemon didn't believe that Alex doesn't know what that thing is or what it is used for. And the basis for their suspicion was Alex's expressions. Alex saw these looks but pretended to never notice them. He had no interest in talking or even thinking further about this topic. Alex even thought that his Pokemon would be grateful if he didn't explain it to them. Alex even wished that he himself didn't know what it was. But unfortunately, access to the internet from a young age has its price. Lars, noticing the strange looks he was receiving from Alex and three of his Pokemon, asked, "What's up?" Alex, instead of answering, said with a deadpan face, "Come on, let's go deeper into the forest, or you won't be able to gain any experience." Lars thought that Alex doesn't like him and therefore reacted like that. He said nothing and followed Alex wordlessly. Alex said while walking, "I will only follow you and not take part in your fights or give you any tips. I am here just for your safety, and in the best scenario, I shouldn't even have to come forward to help you. So try to act as if you are alone here." Lars listened carefully to Alex and nodded in agreement. Although Alex doesn't really like Lars, he wanted to maintain a positive relationship with Lisa. So he was willing to forget the past with Lars and help him as best he can. Especially after seeing the respectful behavior of Lars, he felt that Lars would probably become Lisa's important subordinate in the future. Since Lisa trained him so well that he follows her every command, there should be no reason why Lars can't become an elite trainer, with his gold Pokemon, in 6 months at the latest. Thus, becoming a very useful subordinate. Alex and Lars went deep into the forest and started coming across Pokemon that were not weak. Lars frequently ran into Pokemon that ranged from LV 30 to LV 35. But even against a level 35 Pokemon, Lars could easily secure victory with the help of his Alakazam. Alex watched his fights and realized that Lars really wasn't so bad as a trainer. Although he was probably only better than a regular trainer and not nearly as good as a weak gym leader, it was good enough, in his opinion. Lars's fighting style was very simplistic and crude but well thought out. Lars had no actual tactic, but he always used the best moves in response to his opponent's attack. Although this seems very basic, it is not easy to do as you may think, especially in a fraction of a second. At least, ordinary trainers are not able to do it. Together with the potential of his Pokemon and the support of Lisa, Lars's future wasn't so bad. After 3 years or so, Lars will probably have the strength of a mid-elite trainer. Even if he doesn't train a lot, Alakazam should be at least LV 50 by then. If you consider that most elite trainers never manage to train a Pokemon to LV 50, Lars's future starts looking colorful. Of course, that is if he can survive that long. From the elite rank, Pokemon need experience in the wild from time to time, or you would find a giant drop in their leveling up speed. The path to achieving such strength is a risky one. After 3 hours, nothing dangerous happened, and Alex had the feeling that Lisa had wasted her favors. Suddenly Alex saw a level 39 Pokemon that Lars had discovered and was instantly on his toes. But to his surprise, Lars teleported away as soon as he saw this Pokemon. Well, at least he knows his limits, Alex thought as he asked Gardevoir to teleport to the location that he and Lars had chosen beforehand. Alex and his Pokemon arrived at the place and saw Lars waiting vigilantly for them. After seeing Alex, he started walking into the forest again. Alex, who saw this calm demeanor from Lars, was a bit impressed. He didn't know what Lisa did with Lars, but he had definitely become a satisfactory trainer. Lars and Alex stayed in the forest for another 5 hours without Alex having to intervene. When watching Lars behave, he also understood when Lars would choose to catch a Pokemon and when he wouldn't. As long as Lars estimated that the level of the defeated Pokemon is 30 or higher, he caught it. In the end, Lars caught 19 Pokemon, from which only 3 were silver, 2 shallow silver and 1 silver. The rest were bronze. Alex knew that Lars would probably use the talent machine to test these 19 Pokemon. The talent machine is not cheap, especially if you want to test a Pokemon again, which has triggered the chance of error. 500 times 19 is equal to 9,500. From the 19 Pokemon, if 2 were to repeat the test, then that would be additional 10,000 Poke Dollars. 19,500 is not a small sum. But Lars was lucky to catch 3 silver Pokemon, whom he can sell and recover more than enough. These silver Pokemon should be able to sell out for at least 120,000 Poke Dollars, estimated Alex as he noted the Pokemon species of these 3 silver Pokemon. And for bronze Pokemon, he can also get a little money, even if bronze Pokemon are very unpopular at a relatively high level and without any evolutions left. But he should still get at least 6,000 Poke Dollars as long as he finds a buyer. Alex, who left this forest with Lars, couldn't help but feel that he had wasting quite a lot of his time. But Lisa had done a lot for him, and if this annoying mission balances out all the favors, it was worth it. Chapter 230. Alex, who was in the sky, sitting on Crobat's back, looked at the cave that was barely visible from this height. After he had fulfilled his task and had accompanied Lars for a day, he decided to rest. He went to sleep earlier that day so that he could wake up early. As the saying goes, the early bird gets the worm. With the help of Crobat, he flew back to the marked spot after finishing the breakfast. In front of the entrance to this cave, Alex could see a couple of reyhorns sunbathing. After checking the information about these Pokemon, he realized that the strength of this group was weaker than he was told. There were 6 reyhorn in total, and only 1 was a real threat to Alex's team. 2 reyhorn had a silver potential and deep silver and were at LV 40 and LV 41, respectively. All the other 4 reyhorn were much weaker and between LV 19 and LV 34. In addition, the potential of the other 4 was only bronze. This cave should supposedly be occupied by several elite-level Pokemon, but I see only 2 weak elite-level Pokemon. I don't think this Team Rocket captain has the courage to lie to me. There should be more elite-level Pokemon inside the cave. Alex thought about his next step on Crobat hovering in the sky. After thinking for a while, Alex said, "Crobat, land 200 yards away from the entrance such that they don't notice us." Crobat nodded and landed in a place where no Pokemon was near, and it was approximate 200 meters away from the cave. Alex then called each of his Pokemon, except Shuppet and Vulpix, out from their Pokeballs. Fighting against several elite-level Pokemon is extremely dangerous, and Alex didn't want to let a few kids run around in the middle of the fighting. He didn't have time to babysit them. Thus, he decided to not take any chances. 1 or 2 elite Pokemon is not a problem. But from the captain's report, he had seen at least 5 elite-level Pokemon, one of which was almost a mid-elite Pokemon. The level assessment of an average trainer is often incorrect and only a rough estimate. But it is always better to have a rough estimate of the opponent's level than being in complete darkness. He wanted the diamonds and not lose the chance of making a good amount of money. Alex had never even thought about working this out peacefully with the reyhorn herd who owned this cave. He believed that these reyhorn would not be giving up this cave just because a random trainer asks them to. This cave was just too beneficial to them. Diamonds are pretty much the best food a rock, ground, or steel-type Pokemon can find in nature. They can even improve the potential of a Pokemon if it eats enough of them. Though it is very ineffective, and hardly any diamonds are used in this way. It makes more sense to sell the diamonds for big bucks and buy Pokemon food or items that can improve the potential of a Pokemon from that money. Although it is a very ineffective Pokemon food for Alex, cost-wise, it is the perfect food for the Rhyhorn group. That's probably the reason why there were so many elite Pokemon in this group of Rhyhorn. Alex prefers to use a surprise attack and defeat a pair of elite Pokemon before the whole group of Rhyhorn can assemble. There was no way that this herd of Rhyhorn would give up this cave when an enemy comes with superficially weaker strength. Alright. It's time to attack. Alex looked at his Pokemon as if saying, everyone knows what to do. His Pokemon gave a battle-ready nod and started using buff moves. And, I will explain once what everyone does and never again afterward. Crobat, wait in the Pokeball. Sizer, focus energy, double team, agility, iron defense, swords dance. Gardevoir, double team, lucky chant, calm mind, helping hand, Sizer. Bastiodon, iron defense, rock polish. Blaziken, bulk up, focus energy. Umbreon, helping hand, Blaziken, work up, baton pass, Crobat, work up, again. Ditto, transform to Sizer. Alex has tried many combinations, and this one was by far the most effective. He also tested how effective it is to let Umbreon use work up, and then baton pass, to Sizer instead of Crobat. But he found out that a Pokemon apparently has a certain limit before reinforcements become ineffective. The more reinforcements a Pokemon has, the smaller the effects of the following buff, of the same type, will be. Alex said with a serious tone, okay, we will now run towards these Pokemon quickly. Everyone, get ready to defeat the 6 opponents in the shortest time possible. And Bastiodon, you stay with me and watch the situation. Then he left and told each of his Pokemon their exact targets so the surprise attack could inflict massive damage. Bastiodon was given the task of protecting Alex. Because in this dangerous situation, Alex cannot remain unprotected, or he would be a weak point of his team. He got on the uncomfortable back of Bastiodon and made a hand gesture to go ahead and attack. After the signal, all of his Pokemon started running towards their targets like arrows shot from a bow. The response from Alex's team was so quick that after only a few seconds, they were in attack range. One of the 6 Rhyhorn recognized the danger and gave out a loud cry to warn the other Rhyhorn. Suddenly, the 6 Rhyhorn find themselves in a fight against Alex's Pokemon. But after not exchanging even 2 moves, the whole group was utterly defeated. Alex knew that these sounds of battle were very likely to attract the rest of the Rhyhorn. So he was looking at the cave's entrance with a watchful eye. And as if to confirm his suspicion, Crobat said, several large Pokemon are moving from this cave to us with a raging pace. Alex looked at his Pokemon and said, get ready for a tough fight. Chapter 231, in less than 15 seconds, 5 Rhyhorn and 4 Rhydon appeared at the entrance of the cave. Alex quickly looked at the information of these Pokemon. 4 Rhyhorn were either bronze or silver, all below the elite level. They were between LV 15 and LV 33. 2 Rhydon were silver and deep silver and were at LV 42 and LV 43, respectively. But Alex's attention was drawn to 3 particular Pokemon. Alex almost immediately knew that these 3 Pokemon were a family. He could easily deduct this from the potential, hidden ability, and the innate talent moves. Although Alex was being watched by several elite-level Pokemon, a smile couldn't help but emerge on his face. After seeing the information about these 3 Pokemon, the possibility of there being no diamonds was almost nil. Gold Pokemon are truly rare, and it is unlikely that so many gold Pokemon will gather here. This may be normal for Royal or Dragon-type Pokemon but not for a species like Rhydon. Especially the fact that the child of 2 Rhydon also has a gold potential reinforced Alex's belief. As a rule, Pokemon can only give birth to a Pokemon with the same or inferior potential that they were born with. Of course, there are cases where this is not the case, but something like that is extremely rare. More often than not, the potential of the children almost always have a worse potential than the average, born, potential of the parents. For example, one parent was born with a shallow gold potential and is now a shallow diamond Pokemon. And the other parent was born with a gold potential, and currently, its talent has progressed to diamond. If these Pokemon would have 10 children, it is very likely that 9 of the 10 children would be born with silver or deep silver potential, and only one would have a shallow gold potential. This is the primary reason why young S-rank Pokemon are extremely rare and are bought for such a high price. Alex doesn't believe that he suddenly met such a talented family who has developed so far with no help from natural resources found from this cave. The Rhydon leader looked around and saw Alex's group and members of his group unconscious on the ground. "You will regret this, human," he said with a loud scream. After that, without delay, the Rhydon leader gave all the elite-level Pokemon in his group a signal to attack. Alex didn't even try to speak to the leader and immediately gave telepathic commands to each of his Pokemon. Fortunately, his group was now many times stronger thanks to all the buffs, or this fight could end badly for Alex. Fighting at LV49 and at LV50 Pokemon, both of them having Master Rank moves, is no joke. Without the reinforcement, Alex was not sure that he would have been able to defeat these Pokemon, even with his entire team. Alex looked at the 5 Pokemon that were getting ready for battle and immediately decided on a plan. For Rhydon, LV, 42, 43, 49 and 50, and a Kid Reyhorn, LV 40. Crobat and Blaziken, go to the 2 weak Rhydon. Gardevoir, you quickly defeat that Kid Reyhorn and then help defeat the 2 weak Rhydon. Scizor, Ditto, Umbreon, try to hold back these 2 monsters for a while. Rest will finish their fight as soon as possible and go to their aid. Alex used the safest and, in his opinion, the best plan that he could come up with within 1 second. Defeat the weak first without the 2 strong Rhydon being a danger to the lives of his Pokemon. Scizor, Ditto, Scizor, and Umbreon should, in Alex's opinion, keep these 2 monsters busy for a bit, even if they can't defeat them. Fortunately, the Master Rank move of these 2 Pokemon was not an Area of Effect (AoE) move. So, he did not have to worry that one attack will defeat his entire team. Although both monsters can use Earthquake, this move is a double-edged sword. Earthquake, even on the expert rank, is difficult to control and would damage members of Rhydon's group, too. Only on the Master Rank is it possible to manipulate the move in such a way that it only hits the opponent. If one of these monsters had such a move on the Master Rank, Alex would run immediately and give up on this cave. It would be far too dangerous, and a small mistake could mean the death of him and his family. Alex's Pokemon immediately started executing his instructions. Alex didn't have enough time to give precise instructions, so his Pokemon had to think themselves which move would be best to use. In moments like this time, it shows how important it is that a trainer teaches his Pokemon how to fight without instruction and what to consider while choosing the moves. That was one of the reasons why Alex created the Alex Tournament. I don't remember if I said this before, but, from now on, Elite Rank Pokemon and Champion Rank Pokemon will be written as Elite Level Pokemon and Champion Level Pokemon. Just a minor change. There were some inconsistencies, that's why. Hope you guys don't mind it. Chapter 232. A relatively chaotic fight quickly ensued, and it was a carnival of different moves blasting away. Fortunately, everyone was strengthened by Alex and generally had better bodies than the Pokemon in the wild. Usually, even an identical LV37 Pokemon can defeat a LV39 wild Pokemon without any commands from its trainer. That's because they spend more time training their bodies and get more nutritious food. And that's just the comparison of Pokemon from regular trainers and not a crazy trainer like Alex, who pays 1 million for Pokemon food per month. Alex noticed this, especially when he saw how Scizor, Ditto, and Umbreon managed to have an even fight with the 2 monster Rhydon. That factored to 2 other reasons. First, the Master Rank move of the 2 monsters, Take Down, Normal Type, was ineffective against Ditto and Scizor. Second, Alex's Pokemon were already reinforced. But it was still surprising for Alex nonetheless. When Alex saw how Gardevoir quickly defeated a LV40 Rhyhorn with Magical Leaf and immediately went to help Crobat and Blaziken, he felt that he had overestimated these Pokemon. After less than 10 seconds, Gardevoir, Crobat, and Blaziken defeated the 2 other Rhydon. Now only the two monster rhydon were left to fight, and Alex's team was hardly injured. The leader rhydon was agitated when he realized he was surrounded and said in a loud voice filled with deep anger, "Human, you won. Stop it, or I'll start using my life energy along with Earthquake and kill at least a few of your Pokémon." Alex maintained a relaxed demeanor. But inside, he was thinking, is he actually smart, or it's just that experience talking? No wonder that he is the leader even though he is a level weaker than his wife. The two monster rhydon and Alex's Pokémon stopped fighting and just kept a watchful eye on other parties. When Alex heard the words life energy, he was filled with great feelings. This crazy Pokémon really was ready to use life energy reinforced Earthquake when his child and group members were unconscious around. He would be directly killing them with it. If Leader Rhydon actually went ahead and did it, this might lead to the death of some of Alex's family members. Especially Blaziken and Umbreon would hardly have a chance to save their lives. Alex showed a stern face and said, "Okay, but you and your group have to leave this cave, or else the fight won't be ending here." He wasn't really going to fight in this instance. This was a complete bluff from his side, and he would teleport away with the help of Gardevoir as soon as this Leader Rhydon started preparing Earthquake. Alex also told Gardevoir via telepathy, "Teleport everyone away as soon as you see that he is preparing a move." Gardevoir said with a concerned voice, "Father, what about you and Bastiodon?" Bastiodon and Alex were 40 meters away from the two monsters and not close enough for the Gardevoir to teleport them. Alex chuckled inwardly and said, "By teleporting away, I meant at a distance such that you are no longer within range of Earthquake. Probably 50 meters. After that, Bastiodon and I will run to you, and you will prepare teleportation that will take us away from here, or we fight more afterward." Rhydon was unfortunately very fast with a level of 49 and had several moves on the expert rank. So he didn't even want to try to use a hit-and-run tactic. Especially when this couple starts to use their life energy. A mistake can quickly happen in such a situation, and the life of him and his Pokémon can easily be put in danger. So he was not willing to continue fighting. Apart from that, the gold Pokémon in the elite level are worth much less than the ones under the elite level. These Pokémon are not worth fighting such a high-risk battle. Alex patiently waited for Rhydon's answer. The Rhydon leader briefly showed hesitation. But after contemplating for a few seconds, he said with a harumph, "You disgusting human." He gritted his teeth and continued, "I agree, but if you attack even one of us, I'll fight you to the death." While this cave was very helpful to his group, it was not worth more than their survival. He could only blame his weakness for losing this territory. Alex, who heard Rhydon's answer, smiled and signaled his Pokémon to come to him and waited for the unconscious Pokémon to wake up. Even though he had enough potions to heal these Pokémon, speeding up this process, he didn't do that. Because it is dangerous and stupid to heal an enemy group to its peak strength. Alex did not want to take a risk that the leader Rhydon would not keep his word. Although Pokémon almost never lie, it's not impossible for the leader to change his mind when his whole group is completely healed. After 15 minutes, all the Pokémon from the group of Rhydon woke up and began to leave the area with a sad posture. Alex showed an indifferent expression when he observed the sadness of the Rhydon's group. He even thought that this group should be happy that their leader was so wise. Or else, this group would have lost more than just their territory. After the group left the place and Crobat made sure that they were no longer nearby, Alex walked inside the cave. This cave was relatively small and only several hundred meters deep. In addition, there were no other Pokémon in this cave. But when Alex's group was walking through this cave, Bastiodon told him that he could perceive lots of diamonds in the earth. "How many?" Alex asked. Bastiodon showed a thoughtful expression and said, "Many, really many. At least several hundred, but some are really deeply hidden and not easy to dig out." "How long do you think it will take you to dig up all the diamonds and separate them from the earth and rocks?" Bastiodon tried hard to do the calculation with his mind and said, "This is really difficult. Even if they are not that deep, I will probably need at least 3 days." Alex looked at Ditto and asked, "With Ditto transformed into you, it should be quicker, right?" Bastiodon nodded and said, with Ditto, it should be a lot quicker. And if the rest helps with other tasks, it shouldn't be impossible in a little more than a day to have almost all diamonds. Alex was really happy to have an elite rock-type Pokemon and a Ditto at this moment. This combination can even outperform several drilling machines. Okay, everyone, let's get started. Chapter 233. 10 days later. Alex and his Pokemon were treading through the mountain terrain with watchful eyes, just as they had been doing it for the last few days. After they dug up all the diamonds, Alex and his Pokemon stayed in that area for a while to train against powerful Pokemon and possibly find valuable items. His Pokemon met many elite-level Pokemon, and fighting was a very regular thing. Although elite-level Pokemon are supposed to be smarter, it was not uncommon for them to attack Alex and his Pokemon despite their weaker strength. Alex didn't understand their train of thought, but he welcomed this prophet, coming to him without even asking, with open hands. His Pokemon not only gained a lot of experience, but he collected a few Pokemon corpses too. Because the price for elite-level Pokemon is relatively bad, it is better to sell them as corpses. So Alex did not capture the attacking Pokemon and just straight up killed them. Although gold Pokemon were sometimes included in elite Pokemon, they are unfortunately not particularly valuable too. So, even if they are gold Pokemon, it is better to sell them as corpses. This time he also showed the two young Pokemon, Shuppet and Vulpix, this scene. This time, the killing can be considered an act of self-defense, and it should be easier to accept for the first time. But when he saw the curious expressions of Shuppet and Vulpix, he couldn't help but feel stupid. It seems that Vulpix and Shuppet were intrigued instead of afraid or feeling repugnance. Alex thought for a moment and understood where he made a mistake. Unlike Gardevoir, whose species is a very peaceful one, Shuppet and Vulpix are from neutral species. It is not surprising that Shuppet or Vulpix showed no specific emotions towards killing Pokemon who had attacked them. Especially because they are in no real danger of being injured or killed. Alex also talked to the two Pokemon to avoid future problems. But after the conversation, he realized that both young Pokemon had felt no real emotional impact by the death of the stranger Pokemon. Although this place is supposed to be very dangerous, it wasn't that dangerous for Alex. He only came across one Pokemon that could really be a real threat to him and his Pokemon. A LV-57 Golem. But Alex immediately teleported away so that this encounter was never a danger to him or his Pokemon. After that 10 days, he really made a good gain. 241 diamonds. Corpse of a low elite shallow silver graveler. Corpse of a low elite shallow silver onyx. Corpse of a low elite silver graveler. Corpse of a low elite silver rhydon. Corpse of a low elite silver golem. Corpse of a mid-elite deep silver onyx. Corpse of a mid-elite shallow gold golem. Corpse of a low-elite shallow gold Fiero. Corpse of a mid-elite shallow gold Agron. Corpse of a low-elite gold Kabutops. Even though Alex fought 3 mid-elite Pokemon, it wasn't really life-threatening. He only fought against Pokemon who was at LV-50 or LV-51 and only when he found it alone. He also had his Pokemon buffed beforehand. In addition, he would not let Gardevoir be in the fight but keep teleport ready. So that, if a Pokemon were to try to use its life energy, Alex's Pokemon, fighting the battle, would not be exposed to very life-threatening dangers. It wasn't really safe, but the danger was very controlled. Despite not being 100% secure, Alex's Pokemon could fight without worry and gain valuable experience from it. Alex's preparation was also shown to be necessary when a mid-elite Pokemon tried to use a move filled with its life energy. Because Gardevoir was prepared for such a situation, she quickly teleported away Alex's fighting Pokemon, which had gathered to her side right away. This required full attention from Gardevoir and all the fighting Pokemon. But since they were always cautious, the plan was very effective. The effectiveness of this plan also made Alex worry a little less about the strong Pokemon who could use life energy-filled moves. Even though he had found a plan to defend against life energy moves, he still felt perturbation from life energy moves from powerful Pokemon. Alex thought that he would be stupid if he underestimated the danger of life energy from Pokemon with higher levels than his Pokemon. Only one mistake, and his Pokemon may lose their life forever. Fortunately, if Alex only fights against one strong Pokemon, the Pokemon cannot quickly knock a Pokemon unconscious and kill it immediately afterwards. It has to prepare at least one new move which gives Alex's other Pokemon enough time to put the unconscious Pokemon out of danger. A potential danger is still a danger. And such a danger should never be underestimated. But thanks to all this dangerous fighting, the leveling of his Pokemon seems to have become really fast. Chapter 234. These 10 days were incredibly fruitful for Alex and his Pokemon. Not only has he unearthed several valuable diamonds, but his Pokemon had gained a big boost in their leveling. Especially his elite-level Pokemon had gained lots of experience in this area as they fought against many elite-level Pokemon every day. Gardevoir, Crobat, and Scizor managed to increase their level to 46. Though, Crobat, Gardevoir and Scizor did it on the last day. Umbreon and Blaziken were the Pokemon that benefited most from this extensive. Not only did Umbreon increase her level by 3, but she also became a shallow diamond Pokemon. Now with perfect talent, the training of Master Rank move would be greatly accelerated. Thus, training, rest, and sleep talk to the Master Rank should only take 2 months. If Umbreon really has these 2 moves on the Master Rank, she really would become, almost, invincible against Pokemon on the same level. Though it's not like there would be no way she can be defeated, it's ridiculous enough, in Alex's opinion. Blaziken is almost the exact opposite of Umbreon, with a fighting style focused on defeating her opponent in the shortest time possible. Alex can already imagine what happens when she uses the Attract, Master Rank, plus Sunny Day, Expert Rank, combo and finishing it off with Overheat, Master Rank. As long as the opponent has not overbearingly good SP def or a fire-type resistance, Alex doesn't believe that a Pokemon on the same level can take such a hit easily. After this trip, Alex, very happy with the level of his team, started thinking about various ways that can increase the potential of his Pokemon. Vulpix was already a deep gold Pokemon, and Alex has a top ice stone. So reaching the shallow diamond potential shouldn't be a problem for her. Especially since Vulpix was born with exceptional talent. Shuppet only needed a good quality item to reach the deep gold talent. And then, he can use the remains, ashes, of a champion-level Jengar of SS rank talent during his evolution to get him on the shallow diamond. Bringing Crobat, Scizor, and Gardevoir to the shallow diamond with items should not be easy or cheap. So he will continue to buy good quality items for these Pokemon, but he doesn't think that a few items would be enough for them. The fact that they were born with the deep silver potential has really become a huge hindrance when Alex tries to bring them up to the shallow diamond potential. Alex has little hope for Ditto. Unless he can find a perfect full-blood legendary item, it should be impossible for Ditto to reach the shallow diamond rank. Bastiodon is the Pokemon that Alex thinks, except for Shuppet and Vulpix, can reach the shallow diamond potential very quickly. Not only has he used very few items so far, but he was also born with a shallow gold potential. If Alex can buy several very good quality items for Bastiodon, it shouldn't be impossible to improve his potential. Unfortunately, such good items are not only expensive but also rare to appear in the market. Gardevoir, teleport us to Celadon City, Alex said. Alex first planned to sell the items he had won from his trip to the shopping center of Celadon City. He has great hopes for the diamonds in particular. 2 hours later, Alex came out of the Celadon City shopping center with a smile that just gave out how profitable his sales were. He had his diamonds examined by stores, including Team Rocket, and Jack was the person who gave Alex the best deal, again, due to Alex's membership card. Most of the diamonds that Alex unearthed were very small and could not be sold for a very high price. But there were some with a good crystalline structure and high carat. So those were sold for a ridiculous price. This small number of high-quality diamonds was responsible for getting most of Alex's money. After selling the corpses of elite-level Pokemon and the diamonds, he was able to get 120,323,789 Pokedollar from Jack. Only a few million were from the elite-level Pokemon corpses, and most of the money was from the diamonds. Alex now has more than 140 million poke dollars to his name and was an actual very wealthy person now. He had the whole money paid out in cash, which took a long time. He also tried looking for good quality items for Bastiodon. But to his surprise, Jack had nothing on stock for steel and rock-type Pokemon because yesterday, a very rich customer bought all of these items. Alex suddenly felt that he knew who this very rich customer was. There was only one guy who would buy so many ridiculously expensive steel and rock-type items. After that, Alex, who left the shopping center and found a quiet place, called Steven without waiting a moment. "Oh, Alex. What's up?" Alex went straight to the point. "Hey Steven, I need your help." Steven, who heard this blunt statement, showed a smile. He really likes this frank side of Alex. He doesn't waste his time in compliments or sugarcoating it but directly tells that he has called for his help. It feels honest, which is why Steven sees Alex as a genuine friend. Steven said with a heavy tone, "Sigh. So you only call me when you need help, huh?" Alex knew what Steven was up to. "Are you my mother or what? I also called you last 3 days ago. If you want to make fun of me, you should at least not make such stupid mistakes." Steven said with a fake arrogant tone, "Alex, as your only friend, I'll give you a tip. Don't make fun of the person you are asking for help. And let's not even talk about the jokes you make." "What are you saying? My humor is of the highest quality." "Yeah, right," Steven said with sarcasm, "let's keep that aside for now. Tell me, what do you want?" Yesterday, a certain stupid person bought all the rock and steel type items in the Celadon City shopping center. Now, I can't find any good item for my Bastiodon even though I have lots of money in my pocket, replied Alex with a sarcastic tone. The way you speak is making it really difficult for me to agree to help you." "Haha, I knew it was you. Are you a child? Stop laughing and tell me how much money you have for good items for Bastiodon, and I will send you items of the same value." Alex, he heard Steven helping him, stopped laughing and said sincerely, "Thank you, Steven. Yes, whatever. Tell me, now, how little money you have with you." "Little money? Ha! Joke's on you. I have more than 50 million ready for you." 50 million? Not bad. Where did you get that much money from?" "I was really fortunate and found this cave with some diamonds in it." Alex and Steven talked for a few minutes before they both hung up. Steven told Alex that he would send the items to Alex in a few hours. Chapter 235. Alex trusted Steven. So he didn't wait for items and sent him the money through his TRH device. TRH device is just like Pokédex, so it wasn't a problem. He didn't think that Steven would cheat on him. And paying money in advance also shows his trust in Steven. This kind of trust helps in making a relationship, such as this, even more solid. Alex believed that Steven had enough experience and would know which items are the best for his Bastiodon. 3 hours later, Alex received the items Steven had sent him. 2x Tooth of an SS rank champion level Bastiodon reinforced with rock and steel type energy. 3x Steel Scale by an SS rank champion level Agron reinforced with steel type energy. 5x Steel Scale by an S rank champion level Skarmory reinforced with steel type energy. 5x Top Old Ember. 10x Top Rock Gem. 10x Top Steel Gem. Alex knows about Top Rock Gem and Top Steel Gem. These are consumable items that can improve the potential of rock and steel type Pokemon. These items are not only rare but also cost at least 1 million each. Steven sent him not only 20 of these gems but also items of an SS rank champion level Bastiodon filled with both rock and steel type energy. Such an item should be sellable for at least 10 million and was the optimal item for Bastiodon, who wanted to achieve the shallow diamond talent. Alex was very satisfied with the items Steven had sent him. Though he was not entirely sure about why he sent him Top Old Ember. He knows Old Ember from the games. But in this world, it has no actual use for Pokemon, at least, not the one he knows. Although Alex knew a lot about the items in the world, he doesn't know everything. Alex checked information on the internet but found nothing. That wasn't really surprising, but Alex still wanted to give it a try. In the Pokemon world, knowledge is extremely precious and can almost never be acquired for free. Only general knowledge can be found on the internet. Although a few people on the internet share information from time to time, it is seldom the case that they are correct. Above all, optimal training methods are very well guarded secrets. If you know a very good training method for a certain Pokemon, or even type, it can ensure that your family produces several generations of strong trainers, with some of them achieving a high post like gym leader. Alex thinks that this limitation of knowledge for Pokemon trainers from the elites is the reason why there are so many stupid trainers in this world. Maybe it would be more appropriate to call them ignorant or brainwashed. Due to the propaganda that does not let them know of the brutal and dangerous side of the world, trainers do not understand the danger they are in. The Alliance promotes being a trainer, which leads to many young trainers on the route of adventure. But once again, due to the lack of knowledge, they are not strong enough yet. This causes them to encounter a situation for which they are not prepared, leading to their death. Not to mention, despite there being enough basic knowledge accessible for free, very few Pokemon trainers use it because of the propaganda. Alex is sure that if the Alliance were to stop the whole shit with Pokemon Our Friends propaganda and show the raw and real side of the world to the community, the death rate would undergo a razor-sharp drop. But Alex believed that there was no way that Alliance would do it even though numerous young trainers die every year, since they gain a huge net amount of trainers. If they were to stop the propaganda, sure, the dying trainers will decrease. But Pokemon trainer won't be such a coveted job anymore. Bastiodon, who had seen the items, was waiting eagerly for Alex. But he started losing his patience a bit when he noticed that Alex was deep in thought again. Caesar watched Bastiodon getting restless and said, "Kid, if you don't wake that dreaming fool, he'll be thinking about things all day." Bastiodon heard the words and said with hesitation, "But wouldn't it be really rude if I disturb Father when he is like that? What if he is thinking about something important?" Crobat, who was also listening, started laughing. "Haha, good joke." Alex, who heard Crobat laughing loudly, stopped thinking and saw all the Pokemon looking at him. Okay. Why are you looking at me like that? Crobat started laughing out loud again. He said as he tried to control his laughter, "Oh, don't worry. We're laughing with you, not at you." Haha. In the end, he couldn't control himself and started laughing again. Alex gave a cold stare to Crobat. "I see. Crobat, if you already have so much energy, why don't we increase your training time for today?" Crobat instantly stopped laughing and muttered, "Can't even take a joke." Alex, who didn't quite hear what Crobat said, just looked at Crobat with a deadpan face. He wasn't really mad at Crobat, and he had planned to train Crobat only 10 minutes longer today. Alex just wanted to tease Crobat a little. After annoying Crobat a little, he sent Steven a message. "Yo, Steven. I wanted to ask you something. What is the use of the top old ember you sent me? You don't know? I thought it was an open secret for all elite trainers. Apparently not that open. These top old amber can improve the potential of rock-type Pokemon item if it is consumed by the Pokemon before using the rock-type Pokemon item. It only works for one item, and effectiveness decreases with the repeated use of it. So I would recommend that you use one top old amber per item. It is best to use the Agron and Bastiodon items together with the top old amber to get the maximum benefit out of it." Alex, who understood how much care Steven had taken in picking out items, felt that he was a friend worth cherishing. "Steven, how much is the info for using top old amber?" "I don't need your money, Alex." "What? I didn't mean that." "Haha, do you think I don't know what you're trying to do? Don't worry, the information costs less than 100,000 Pokedollar. By the way, Steven, how expensive are these top old amber?" "Ah, not as expensive as you may think. Alex, I have an appointment. So, I'll be going now," messaged Steven as his status soon turned into offline. Alex realized that Steven had interpreted this intent immediately, and he didn't want to answer that. He had the feeling that these top old amber are not as cheap as Steven told. He checked the internet and found the last top old amber was sold for $2.5 million at one auction. Alex immediately started calculating the prices of his items in his head. 12 plus 10 plus 10 plus 10 plus 9 plus 6. When Alex calculated the minimum prices for all items, he came up with a total value of $57 million. It is likely that Steven paid 60 or maybe even $65 million for these items. Alex felt that Steven really was his true friend. He started thinking about how he can make up for this favor in the future for Steven. Chapter 236. Bastiodon was told by Alex about items he would be receiving for the next few days, hopefully reaching the shallow diamond rank. For the first 10 days, he would receive 1 top rock gem in the morning and 1 top steel gem in the evening from Alex. After that, he would be absorbing a steel scale reinforced by an S-rank skarmory on the champion level for the subsequent 5 days. These 15 days are just the preparation period for Bastiodon to safely reach the shallow diamond rank with the following 5 items. Alex would give Bastiodon the combination of the best items in the last 5 days. For the first 3 days, the combo of Steel Scale, reinforced with Steel-type energy by an SS rank Agron on the champion level plus Top Old Amber, will be given. And for the last 2 days, Tooth, of an SS rank Bastiodon at champion level reinforced with Rock and Steel-type energy plus Top Old Amber, will be given. Alex thought that Bastiodon had the best chance to improve his potential in the last 2 days. The combination of these 2 items is the best item Alex has ever had. So he thought these items should be enough to improve potential, even though he could not say that with certainty. Shallow diamond is really not easy to achieve, so you can never proclaim a 100% guarantee. But since Bastiodon was born with a shallow gold potential and has hardly consumed any items so far, Alex believed that Bastiodon would become a shallow diamond Pokemon, for sure, after these 20 days. Alex stopped thinking about it. Then he, like every day, opened the Team Rocket shop page, which is available only for higher members like Team Rocket Captain. Finally! I thought I would never find something for Shuppet. A corpse, ashes, of an SS rank high elite Dusknoir, 12,500,000 TR points / Poke Dollars. Although the price of this item was outrageously high, Alex immediately bought it. Ghost-type Pokemon are rare, making the price of their corpses and items related to them outrageously costly. It's almost twice as expensive as the corpses of an S-rank champion-level Pokemon, though the quality of both items are about the same. Of course, this item is overpriced. And, if Alex was willing to wait a few months, he could certainly get a similar good corpse for 10 million Poke Dollars. But Alex didn't have time for it. Shuppet would soon reach the level where he will transform into his final form, and Alex did not want to wait for an item anymore. Alex was going to use Everstone as the last option if he couldn't find a high-quality item. But now that such a good item had appeared, that was no longer necessary. Alex was also so rich that a few million doesn't mean much to him. He wanted strength, not money. Of course, both have a close relationship with each other, but Alex never forgets what his priority is. After Alex transferred a suitcase full of cash and received a message asking permission to send the item, he accepted. Alex didn't wait and gave Shuppet the first ever item to consume in his life. Pokemon, Shuppet. LV, 29. Type, Ghost. Abilities, Cursed Body, Hidden Ability. Gender, Male. Potential, Deep Gold. Moves: Knock Off, Screech, Nightshade, Spite, Shadow Sneak, Will-O-Wisp, Feint Attack, Hex. Innate Talent, Curse, Innate Talent, Phantom Force, E, Innate Talent, Destiny Bond, E. TM, Protect. Pokemon born with gold potential instead of shallow gold really make it a lot easier, thought Alex. Alex remembers that Bastiodon didn't improve his potential as quickly as Shuppet or Vulpix. Although Bastiodon was able to improve his potential with fewer items than Scizor, Gardevoir, and Crobat, he was a good deal slower than Vulpix or Shuppet. He realized that the difference between a born gold Pokemon and a born shallow gold Pokemon is much bigger than he had previously thought. Alex looked in the direction of Gardevoir, Crobat, and Scizor with a slight concern. Alex realized that he would need a lot more money and good items than he first thought if he wanted to get his first 3 Pokemon on the shallow diamond rank. Alex looked at his Pokemon and said, "Okay, it's time to go back to the base." Tomorrow, a small tournament will be held for the rookies he is responsible for, and he still had to choose rank for the top 10. Alex, with his mask, entered the base and immediately went to his short-term office. Alex looked at the reports he had from Andrew, who was responsible for the rookies while he was away on his trip. Andrew is really a good subordinate. It's a shame that he is a subordinate of Lisa, thought Alex as he read the short and to-the-point informative reports sent by Andrew. He wasn't really strong or talented, but he does his job quickly and thoroughly. Such a competent person is very useful for organizational work or for commanding small groups. Of course, Alex had 2 better subordinates, even if Maria is more like a partner than a subordinate. Their current standing between them is similar to the biggest and the second biggest shareholder in a company. Although the biggest shareholder has the last word, it is not the case that the second biggest shareholder is a subordinate of the biggest shareholder. Alex, who looked through the reports, saw that he had received reports from the person he hired about the past of Simon, Jasper, and Elise. He started reading through the report with a curious look. Simon was the only one with a family. The report never officially identified a problem with his family, which surprised Alex a bit. From the reporter, he watched Simon's family for a day and found nothing unusual. Alex didn't know if this family is really as ordinary as it officially said or if Simon's family is hiding something. Although he doesn't deny the possibility of Simon joining Team Rocket with a normal and good family, it is really unusual and unlikely. But not extremely rare, so he cannot say with guarantee that this information is not correct. Alex read the report from the next person and couldn't help but exclaim, "What the hell?" Chapter 237, the content of Jasper's report was so weird and shocking that Alex's reaction was understandable. Jasper's mother is unknown, and Jasper was raised by his father alone. Both apparently got along well and often went into the woods together. This is not in the files of the Jasper family. But when the person responsible for the investigation interviewed the neighbors of the Jasper family, he found out a surreal piece of information. Jasper also has a stepmother, though she is not human. This was just a rumor, at first. But several neighbors saw Jasper's father kissing his new wife. What's even stranger is that Jasper's father's wife is not a Pokemon with a human-like shape. Usually, the perverts who find Pokemon sexually interested are almost always attracted to human-like Pokemon. But Jasper's father had chosen a female superior as his new wife. If you can ignore the strangeness of Jasper's family, it is a joyful and loving family. At least, according to the statements of most of the neighbors. Also, a neighbor had supposedly seen a very disturbing scene. Jasper got a goodbye kiss on the lips from his stepmother. This kiss wasn't short either and looked more like the kiss of 2 lovers. In the Pokemon world, there is a law that forbids trainers to abuse Pokemon. But this law cannot be implemented in this case. As long as Superior voluntarily enters into a relationship with Jasper's father, it is not a criminal offense. Alex put the report on the table and rubbed his forehead. He had already expected to read something weird. But when he read the part about Jasper kissing his non-human stepmother, he couldn't keep his calm. After reading that, Alex crossed out Jasper as his future 3rd subordinate in his head. It's okay to be crazy, but there is a limit to how crazy you can be. If Jasper was just a pervert, Alex could overlook it. But he's also a madman who calls several people dying a work of art. Jasper had way too many cons, according to Alex, to be used as a subordinate. A crazy dog is useful only if you can be sure that it won't suddenly bite you out of nowhere for no reason at all. Alex started reading the other report. This report was about Elise, the person Alex has the most expectation of out of the 3. The main reason is that she has by far the most talented Pokemon and that she was the sanest of the 3. Although her polite and friendly impression is most likely a facade to hide her true self, Alex believes that something like this is not unusual in Team Rocket, especially for female Team Rocket members. As long as Elise is not totally crazy, she was the best choice out of 3. Elise's report was, by far, the shortest, and Alex found hardly any useful information out of it. She was taken to an orphanage as an infant and spent her time there until she turned 16. Elise appeared to have spent a lot of time there in the library. According to the statements, she was a quiet and well-mannered child there. Apart from that, the report said nothing else. Alex put the report down with a slight dissatisfaction. This information was almost useless. Alex was sure of only one thing after reading it. Elise has hidden her true self very deeply. Alex didn't believe for a second that Elise was really such a friendly and polite person. If that was true, it wouldn't make sense for her to join Team Rocket. Unless she's a spy. Alex, who thought of this possibility, began to sink deep in contemplation. I should definitely do a few tests to make sure my third subordinate is not a spy. Alex didn't have to inspect the first 2 subordinates since he already knows that they are not spies. Gardevoir told Alex that when he and Maria said goodbye, Maria held warm feelings for him. Daniel was an obvious case too. According to Gardevoir, whenever Alex talked to Daniel about the alliance, she always felt anger bubbling inside him. Gardevoir's ability to perceive the emotions of other living beings is not a 100% lie detector. But it can show what the other person is feeling, helping in understanding him, her. But emotions are also often so loose that even while lying through the teeth, Gardevoir's ability may not be able to detect it. Even Alex could outsmart the Gardevoir's emotion detecting. Though, it did take some tries to do it perfectly. So the Gardevoir's ability is most effective when the person, upon whom it is being used, does not know anything about it. Though, even if people know about this thing, it is not entirely useless. The trick is not easy, and not all people have a Gardevoir to know that such a thing exists. So, they won't even think about faking their emotions. I'll come up with a precise plan after I decide for sure whom I'll take as my subordinate. Although Alex already has 2 participants, whom he prefers, there is always a possibility that some other participant may impress him. Alex put down Andrew's report and then picked up the list of top 10 participants. Andrew, who had taken care of the rookies, could gauge how strong each participant was. Alex was surprised when he saw that Simon didn't make it to the top 3 and was only in 4th place. Originally he wanted to keep the list as it is and pass it. But when he saw Jasper in the 1st place and Elise in the 2nd, he changed his opinion. Alex changed the order of the top 3 rookies and didn't touch the other 7 places. 1. Elise. 2. Arthur. 3. Jasper. 4. Simon. 5. Boris. Alex had no problem using his powers for making Jasper's chances more difficult. It hardly makes a difference since tomorrow, the rookies can challenge others for their ranks anyway. It is an advantage to be on a higher rank only if there is a tie. Otherwise, it makes no difference to be 2nd or even 1st. Chapter 238. The next day, Alex, his subordinates, and the rookies had gathered in the underground hall just like the first day. Of the initial 100 participants, only 40 were there remaining. Usually, more than 2/3 of the 100 rookies would be alive on the last day. But because of Alex, that was not the case anymore. The rookies, who took the Pokeball with A-rank talent Pokemon from Alex, had to conquer their Pokemon within 3 days or that they would otherwise die. As a result, an unbelievably large number of rookies died desperately trying to control their Pokemon. But what they didn't know is that Alex never planned to kill the participants who failed to control their A-rank Pokemon after 3 days. Instead, he would send them to a different base so that all other rookies would think that they had died. But out of 55 rookies who chose an A-rank Pokemon, only 12 survived after 3 days. And of those 12, 11 managed to control their Pokemon. So, Alex only had to send one of these 55 rookies to another base. More than half of the participants had chosen to conquer an A-rank Pokemon, which is generally more difficult, especially if you don't have any other Pokemon. Although the number of dead is much higher, the number of trainers who manage to control their Pokemon is also higher. Of the 100 participants, 21 trainers managed to conquer their Pokemon, more than when Alex had participated in the rookie test. Alex looked at the 40 participants in the room and said with a stern voice, "The rookies, who did not manage to conquer their Pokemon, will follow the subordinate to my right. He will explain to you everything regarding your future." A subordinate led the 19 rookies, and soon, the crowd had been halved. These rookies would soon become Team Rocket lackeys, the lowest rank in Team Rocket. Alex didn't want to explain the situation of these useless participants to them personally, obviously. That's why he gave his subordinate this task. He didn't want to waste his time with trash, who would rather take a safe route and be a lackey instead of risking their lives to become a trainer. Alex looked at the remaining 21 rookies and began speaking again. "Now that the garbage has been taken away, I will explain the rules of the tournament to you. It's quite simple, actually. I've made a list where I have estimated how strong you are compared to other rookies. But because that's just an estimation, everyone gets a chance to challenge someone from the top 10 and steal their rank. If the challenger is successful, he will swap rank with the person he has defeated. But should the challenger lose, we will automatically deduct 100 TR points from him or her. After each fight, both participants have the right to go to the Team Rocket Pokemon Center to heal their Pokemon for free." Alex paused for a moment and said with a deep voice, "This quasi-tournament also has rules, so you better be careful not to break them if you don't want me to break some part of your body too. There are only 2 simple rules that even the stupidest of you can understand. 1. It is forbidden to attack a trainer in any way. 2. It is also forbidden to attack a Pokemon that's already passed out. Simple, isn't it? Now, the list of top 10 rookies is as follows. 1. Elise. 2. Arthur. 3. Jasper. 4. Simon. 5. Boris. Alex had only changed the top 3. He didn't know much about other members, so it didn't make sense for him to interfere with them. Most of the 11 participants who received the A-rank Pokemon from Alex showed serious faces. One of Alex's prerequisites was that they had to be, at least, in the top 10 after 2 weeks. Or else, they would also be killed by Alex's Crobat. After hearing how one person, who didn't manage to conquer his Pokemon within 3 days, had suddenly disappeared, others were sure that he had become the food of this cruel instructor's bloodthirsty Crobat. Only the top 4 did not have any worry. All of the top 4 had chosen the A-rank Pokemon from Alex, and it was almost impossible that they would lose their place in the top 10. Participants with A-rank Pokemon, who are not in the top 10, would not waste their single chance by challenging the strongest trainers in their group. Of 11 rookies with A-rank Pokemon, 8 are in the top 10. So that means 3, who are outside the top 10, would lose their lives if they don't manage to enter the top 10. Alex had the feeling that ranks 10, 9, and 8 would see the most fights. He showed an emotionless expression as he said, "Participants, not in the top 10, now have the chance to make a challenge. If nobody in the top 10 wants to make a challenge now, you will not get another chance later on." Although it was not a rule, Alex didn't plan to waste a lot of time with weak trainers, so he added this rule. A smart trainer would always like to be the last one to make a challenge. Alex wanted to force them to not waste much time. Maybe only trainers who were much stronger than the rest of them won't need such assurance in their test, like Alex and Maria. Of the 11 participants outside the top 10, only the 3 rookies, who have A-rank Pokemon, wanted to challenge one of the top 10. For the other 8, the risk of losing TRP 100 is not small, and the reward of a 9th or 10th rank is not worth taking this risk. Only the 3 A-rank Pokemon rookie needed to enter the top 10 list. After Alex said his last statement, for a few seconds, silence had taken its place. It seemed that none of these 3 A-rank Pokemon rookies wanted to fight first. Alex looked at the hesitant faces as if he was looking at garbage as he said, I see. If nobody gives a challenge in 5 seconds, I will continue with the top 10 fights. 5, 4, 3, 2 dash. A rookie with an A-rank Pokemon couldn't help and said out loud, "Stop." I'm challenging number 10. Soon, the rookie and the number 10 began a very close fight. The number 10 was a rookie who hadn't taken an A-rank Pokemon from Alex, so he wasn't as desperate as the challenger rookie and his Pokemon. In the end, the challenger rookie defeated the number 10 with a very close call. The rookie looked like he saw the light out of the tunnel as he celebrated his victory. Unfortunately, 2 other A-rank participants also wanted his position. In the end, these 2 A-rank participants found themselves in a desperate fight for the low places of the top 10. 2 fights later, Alex looked at the 2 lifeless trainers sitting on the floor. He said with an evil smirk, "You know, it doesn't seem that you have bad strength. It would really be a waste if you had to die so early, don't you think?" The 2 rookies sitting lifeless on the floor seemed to have heard Alex's words and started looking at Alex with a pleading expression. Alex smiled deeply as he said, "Okay, I'll let you live but not for free. 70,000 Poke Dollars in 1 year was one of the prerequisites for rookies who got an A-rank Pokemon from me. I'll let you live and even make you a Team Rocket member. But you have to get me 140,000 Poke Dollars in 1 year, or it would mean that you have betrayed the Team Rocket." Although Alex's smile seemed like a devil's smile to the 2 rookies, they were still relieved. Although they might have to do many dangerous missions or need good luck in the wilderness to gather 140,000 Poke Dollars in 1 year, it was better than dying. Alex doubled the amount because these 2 rookies had wasted his time, and also because he didn't want to show any kindness in Team Rocket. Though reason 1 was the main reason why he did that. Chapter 239. After Alex took care of all of the rookies' challenges to the top 10, he directed his focus to the top 10 fights. He had wasted enough time with these mediocre trainers and finally wanted to get to the most important part. Alex looked at the top 10 rookies and said with an impassive tone, "Okay, you can now challenge a rookie with a rank higher than you." He observed that more than 5 out of the 10 had no interest in challenging others. Only the 3 rookies showed some interest, besides Elise, who was already in her desired place. 1. Elise. 2. Arthur. 3. Jasper. 4. Simon. Arthur seemed to be contemplating. After a few seconds, he made a decision and said, "I want to challenge Elise." Elise just gave a tender smile as she started walking up to the trainer's position on the battlefield. Arthur showed a slight nervousness when he walked to the opposite side of the battlefield and released his Pokemon. Alex saw the strength of Arbok and couldn't help but nod in agreement. In contrast to when Alex was a rookie, these rookies had an extra week to prepare for this tournament. This made it possible for most Pokemon to evolve with enough training and good food. But because of this, Coughing's trainers had a major disadvantage. Coughing evolves to Wheezing usually at level 35, so it should be almost impossible for them to win this tournament with their non-evolved form. When Alex thought about it, he understood more clearly why Simon was only in 4th place even though he was among the first 3 to conquer their Pokemon first. Although Coughing is not a weak Pokemon, it has a big disadvantage against the other Pokemon when he fights them. The stats of all other Pokemon are much better, so every Coughing's trainer has to fight a disadvantageous battle. Coughing has base stats of 340, which is really low compared to his opponent, who might have already successfully evolved. Raticate, Fiero, Arbok, and Golbat have base stats of values 413, 442, 448, and 455, respectively. While having better stats is not necessarily the most important thing in a fight, it can give you a solid advantage. Alex saw how Arthur had evolved his Ekans into an Arbok before this fight and immediately understood why he was in the 3rd rank in the original list. He could have been on an even higher rank if it was not for his innate talent move not being very suitable for this tournament. Arbok's expert rank move is not really bad. It's just that it might not be very effective here. 3 of the 5 Pokemon species you get to choose as a starter Pokemon are poison type. In addition, all 3 are the most popular Pokemon pick, so this move is almost useless against most trainers here. Alex still showed a curious look. Let's see how much improvement Elise has made in these 2 weeks. Elise only looked briefly at Arbok, who gave a deadly hiss and a stare that would scare others when she came out of the Pokeball. Elise showed a gentle yet confident smile and called out her Pokemon from his Pokeball. Pokemon, Fiero. LV, 23. Type, normal/flying. Ability, Sniper, hidden ability. Gender, male. Potential, shallow gold. Alex didn't show any emotion on his face but was very surprised inside. What surprised Alex wasn't the level but that Fiero had 2 moves on the expert rank moves and achieved the shallow gold potential. Getting 2 innate talent moves on the expert rank within 14 days is almost impossible for an ordinary trainer. This pace is only a bit slower than Alex and a lot faster than normal trainers, which really showcases her talent as a trainer. Even with an S-rank Pokemon, it is not so easy to train the moves on the expert rank so quickly. But Fiero being on the shallow gold rank was what really surprised Alex. For a novice Pokemon trainer, it is very common to not have enough money to buy good items for their Pokemon to absorb during their first evolution. Alex also had the same problem. He could only give Zubat Taurus's blood for 500 TR points and missed the golden opportunity to improve the potential of Zubat. She has to have a good amount of money to buy an item that can improve her Fiero's potential. But according to background information, she grew up in an orphanage. So where did she get the money from, thought Alex. Alex was more and more convinced that after this tournament, he should do a little test with the help of Gardevoir so that he doesn't choose a spy as his third subordinate. He stopped thinking about it and focusing his attention on the fight that was just beginning. Elise gave her commands gently and showed a very calm demeanor in this intense fight. She once let Fiero use Feather Dance to greatly reduce the attack power of Arbok. Arbok used Poison Fang after hearing Simon's command and successfully poisoned Fiero. Elise was not nervous but at ease. She said in a light tone, "Fiero, use Drill Run until this Arbok can stand no more." Simon tried to prevent that but had no way avoiding it. Chapter 240. After this fight, both Arthur and Elise went to the Team Rocket Pokemon Center to heal their Pokemon. Alex waited for the two and didn't allow any challenges for the next fight until they had returned. Simon didn't waste time and stepped forward as he said, "I want to challenge Arthur." Alex was slightly surprised that Simon was not challenging Elise but Arthur. He must have realized that he does not have a good chance of winning against Elise, and that is why he is targeting for a place in the top 3. Really clever but a bit too cautious for my taste, thought Alex. The reward for the first place was much higher in this case than for the second. That's why Alex described this decision as too cautious. Unless you are so weak that you cannot win even with an optimal strategy, there is no reason to immediately give up the first place. It's not like the difficulty is similar to a battle between LV5 and LV20 Pokemon. Despite Simon's Pokemon's poor stats and his innate talent move not being that good for this tournament, it is not that difficult and not impossible to win. Even if you only have a 5% win rate, it is a bet with a high return, according to Alex. What is better? A 5% chance to win 70,000 Pokedollars or 80% chances to win 500 Pokedollars? Alex would always take the 5% chance because it is the most effective and beneficial choice. And that is why he could not support Simon's decision for aiming a relatively safe position. Although it is smart to fight a Pokemon whose strongest move is almost useless against your Poison-type Pokemon, this is not a good reason to give up your only chance to achieve the best rank and rewards. Simon must have thought that even if he wins against Elise, he wouldn't be able to defend against other challengers and might end up in an even worse position. Alex understands that when it comes to his chances of survival, he plays it safe even if he loses his single shot at getting something valuable. But in this example, that is not the case. Even if he loses the fight, he won't be losing out on much. The main reason why he put Elise in the first place was so that in case Simon uses self-destruct as his last resort, with the fight ending up a tie, she would remain in the first place. But now, it looked like he had overestimated Simon a bit. Alex observed the fight between the two with a slightly bored look. When Simon got his Pokemon out of his Pokeball, Alex immediately looked at the information of the Pokemon. Alex saw this info of coughing and felt that Simon really didn't have as bad a chance against Elise as he might have thought. First of all, the level of both Pokemon is almost the same, and Coughing is also immune to Drill Run. Drill Run is a move in which Pokemon uses its particular body part as a drill and hits the opposing Pokemon via the ground surface. Coughing, who has the ability to levitate, does not need to be afraid of this move as long as he isn't hit and is still levitating above the ground. Alex thought with seriousness, together with Poison type and the strong move Assurance, there was a relatively good chance of winning the fight with good tactics. Although Alex believes that Elise is stronger with much better base stats and the expert rank, Feather Dance, Simon's chances are even higher than Alex had previously thought. 20% or 30% would be more accurate than Alex's first assessment of 5%. Alex now even felt a slight sense of despise for Simon being too cautious. Before he knew the full strength of Simon's Pokemon, he could somehow understand Simon's cautious manner. But now, it felt like his cautiousness caused him to waste a valuable opportunity. He even felt disdain for Simon's behavior. He found Simon no longer a cautious person but a coward and a moron. Alex's disappointment for Simon was immeasurable for a moment. Such good potential, but what a big flaw in his character. Welp, I think Lisa would be happy to receive such a good subordinate, thought Alex. Alex wanted to give Lisa the good rookies he didn't need anyway so that Lisa would owe him a favor. Of course, he would give Lisa genuinely talented trainers, or it would look like he gave her mediocre rookies that Team Rocket has everywhere. Arthur, Jasper, Simon were the rookies Alex would give Lisa if Elise meets Alex's expectations and passes his test with Gardevoir. While Alex was deep in thought, Simon and Arthur were fighting an exciting match. Simon's Pokemon used move, Assurance. And since Arbok was preparing her move, Coughing could inflict a powerful first hit on Arbok. Arthur decided to use Screech as his first move, so that Arbok can now inflict ridiculous damage on Coughing with his very high attack value of 95. This was a measurement taken with consideration of this fight dragging on for too long. The fight went into the next gear after this. It was a fight to see who can withstand the attacks of the enemy longer. Although Coughing had a medium attack stat, he was 2 levels higher, and the move, Assurance, was much stronger than Arbok's, Crunch. Together with that, Coughing could use the move, Protect, while Arbok could not, which was also a great advantage. In the end, the fight didn't last for too long, and Simon was able to secure a relative safe victory. Although Coughing only had 30% HP left, it was a relatively safe win, according to Alex. After Simon and Arthur healed their Pokemon, the tournament continued further. Chapter 241. After this fight, it appeared that Jasper had finally decided to challenge Elise. He slowly stepped towards the battlefield and said with a smile hiding the thrill he was feeling, "I want to fight the first person." His tone sounded normal to others, but Alex knew what a crazy character Jasper was. Elise responded with a confident smile, too, and went to the opposite side Jasper had gone. Both Elise and Jasper released their Pokemon almost simultaneously. Pokemon, Fiero. LV, 23. Type, Normal/Flying. Ability, Sniper, Hidden Ability. Gender, Male. Potential, Shallow Gold. Alex saw that Arbok was stronger than Fiero and could understand better why Andrew had ranked him first, especially since he wasn't privy to the same information as Alex. Although he was a bit surprised that Arbok reached the Shallow Gold, it wasn't as surprising as it was with Elise. Jasper's father has a Pokemon over level 35 and is almost an elite trainer. Although he is not very rich, he should be able to buy a good quality item for Jasper if he had saved his money beforehand. Or maybe he had an item of his stepmother. The thoughts about why Jasper was in the first place initially took over Alex's mind for a while. He knew that the main reason why he was ranked first was probably Jasper's Arbok having a level higher than Elise's Fiero. And also, maybe Andrew saw how Ezekiel's nose, Rock Slide, and therefore put him first. Alex was not sure how much Andrew really knew about both Pokemon or whether he had just roughly estimated things about their Pokemon. He felt that if Andrew really had the same information as Alex, he would probably put Elise first. Both of her expert rank moves are very effective against Arbok in combat. And even with the slight level handicap, Alex would estimate that Elise has a 60% chance of winning. Before the fight starts, Jasper went to Arbok and gave a big warm hug before whispering something in her ear. Arbok, who heard what Jasper was saying, made a tender expression and began to wriggle around Jasper's body. Really? In the middle of the battlefield? Alex couldn't stand this scene anymore. Crobat, who was hovering behind Alex, said with a disgusted expression, "She really has no control over her body as she shows her arousal so openly. What a perverted Arbok." Alex, who heard Crobat's words, was astonished. To him, it looked like Jasper was the bigger pervert of the two, but Crobat clearly had the opposite idea. After a few seconds, Jasper and his Pokémon stopped hugging, and Jasper turned to go back to his position. As he was walking back, Arbok gave a slight smack to his butt with her tail. Jasper turned his head back and only gave a slight smirk in response. Not only Alex, but all rookies and the Pokémon who saw it were stunned. Fuck! Why did I have to meet so many perverts in the last couple of weeks? First Lisa and Lars and now this shit, thought Alex as he questioned his luck. After his brief shock, he said aloud, "Participant Jasper, stop wasting time." Alex was starting to get really pissed off watching something like that. Jasper just gave a slight nod as he said, "Oh. I didn't mean to make anyone jealous. I'm deeply apologetic." Alex was momentarily speechless. He was mentally defeated and just wanted to get through this tournament and never talk to Jasper again. A Team Rocket member acted as referee and slowly started counting down from 5. Fiero, start with Feather Dance. Arbok, use Toxic. Both trainers started immediately to use their status moves which might play a critical role in this fight. Arbok and Fiero both finished almost simultaneously and hit each other with the moves. Fiero, use Focus Energy. Arbok, use Screech. Both trainers had decided to continue the use of status moves even if they were not on the expert rank. Alex wasn't exactly sure, but it seemed to him that Elise had a bigger advantage after these exchanges. Fiero has the hidden ability, Sniper. And together with the move, Drill Run, the chance of critical damage is very high. And after using Focus Energy, there should be a good chance you will deal a crit hit in 3 or 4 attacks. Both Pokémon finished almost simultaneously again. Arbok, use Rock Slide. There was suddenly a confident glint in Elise's eyes as she said, "Fiero, use Drill Run." Both Pokémon went to the offense with this round. Elise finished first, and since Arbok couldn't move while preparing her move, she was hit heavily. Although she was able to prevent a hit to her head, Arbok took a good deal of damage from that attack. Fiero, carry on with Drill Run. Arbok also got done preparing Rock Slide. Fiero could still move while preparing Drill Run. So she tried to evade the rocks falling from the sky like rain, but she was hit by one of them at the end. And it wasn't a normal hit either but a hit on the head. A critical hit. Fiero suffered great damage from this hit and even had to cancel his prepared move. Elise showed a grimaced face but said in a calm voice, "Fiero, use Drill Run, again." Arbok, carry on with Rock Slide. Jasper saw that Fiero had taken good damage. Together with Toxic, Fiero would not last much longer. Once again, Fiero finished first and used Drill Run against Arbok, who couldn't move. Fiero hit again but failed to deliver a critical hit by hitting Arbok in her weak spot. Fiero, try to avoid Rock Slide, but as soon as you realize that you can't, use Protect. Fiero has a high speed stat, so it was not impossible to avoid Rock Slide while preparing the move. But if it doesn't work like the previous time, using Protect now was the best choice since she can't let this fight go on for long due to the poisoned status. Arbok finished her move, and big rocks immediately started falling from the sky. Rock Slide is a totally random move, so it is sometimes easier to dodge depending on the luck. This time, Fiero somehow managed to dodge the rocks just alone with his speed while preparing Drill Run. Jasper's face turned grim. Even though he was angry and filled with anxiety, he didn't know what to do about it. Rock Slide was his most important move. If it didn't work, then he might lose. Arbok used Glare. Even though he was wasting one turn of attack move, he knew he had to stop Fiero from evading. Fiero used the expert rank move, Drill Run, for the third time, and Arbok had to go through some serious injuries due to it. Now both Arbok and Fiero looked equally bad, even though Fiero had to endure a critical move. Fiero was slightly worse as it was taking additional damage from its poisoned status every second since the start. Elise said next, protect yourself from Glare. When Arbok used Glare, Protect blocked it. Fiero used Drill Run. Arbok just used Rock Slide. Jasper realized that the fight was getting tight, but he still thought that he had the higher ground. Arbok still had more than 40% HP left and should be able to take at least 2 more hits from Drill Run. But Fiero, who was poisoned, only had to be hit once by Rock Slide, and the poison will do the rest of the work. Again, Fiero finished first and used Drill Run. This time, Fiero hit Arbok particularly well, and Arbok cried out in pain. It was a critical hit. Arbok tried to stay conscious but failed to do so and fell to the ground. Jasper was shocked to the core and cried out, "What?" Chapter 242, Jasper looked at his unconscious Arbok, and his face suddenly darkened. After a few seconds, he started huffing with uncontrollable rage, and his eyes began to exude a wave of unhinged anger and coldness. He looked at Elise and started yelling, "How dare you hurt my beloved and beautiful Arbok? I will tear you to pieces for it." "No, that's not good enough for what you have done." Jasper started to think of his revenge with a grim expression and started speaking maniacally. "I'll your arms and legs. And then, I will close your with so that you don't die too quickly. I'll keep you alive and make you watch your Pokemon writhe in pain. Neither you nor your Pokemon will be spared. My darling will inject your Pokemon with painful poison so that it will go through a slow and painful death. After you've watched your Pokemon get tortured and killed, I'll slowly you to death." Elise showed no reaction against these gruesome and detailed statements told by Jasper. She ignored Jasper and looked at Alex as she asked, "Instructor John, can I kill him after this threat? What are the rules about killing someone?" Alex looked at Elise and said, "Usually, you have no right. But as long as a high-ranking person, such as me, confirms that he tried to kill you or your Pokemon, you can kill him for self-defense. But in Team Rocket, such insults or threats are normally ignored unless they are directed at a person with a higher rank than the speaker. Other than that, only if one of the involved parties tries a fatal attack on the other trainer or the unconscious Pokemon, you may kill the attacker. But in this case, it is important to be able to prove that this was really the case, or else." Alex didn't finish the sentence, but Elise understood the implication. Jasper seemed to be in his own world as he went to Arbok and healed her hurriedly with a potion. After seeing that the wounds of Arbok were being healing at a visible rate, he finally calmed down. His mind was finally on track. But what he had done just a minute ago came to his mind, and an instant realization came upon him of what a dangerous mistake he had made. Threatening other participants in front of an instructor was really risky. Not to mention, the person he threatened would probably soon be a direct subordinate of this instructor. Jasper wasn't stupid and quickly realized that he had made a big blunder. He looked at Elise and said in a mild tone, "I'm sorry for the impolite and extreme words. When I saw my beloved unconscious on the floor, I couldn't control my anger for a short time. My previous words are not to be taken seriously, and I want to apologize to you again for what I spoke before." Elise had maintained her typical gentle smile so far as she said, "Is that so? Then I'll take your words and forgive you." Jasper felt that Elise's words were too unnatural. Especially with that perpetual smile, it made it impossible to believe that Elise had really forgiven him. After a few seconds of hesitation, he took 10 hyper potions out of his TRH device and gave them to Elise. "This is my compensation for those harsh words. I hope you can forgive me. Hyper potions are not cheap, and one hyper potion costs around 1,000 Poke dollars." Jasper gave Elise 10,000 poke dollar as compensation for his earlier behavior, which shows that Jasper understands his position very well. Normally, Jasper wouldn't do that. But since Elise would soon become a direct subordinate of a Team Rocket elite captain, he knew that he wouldn't be able to survive if Elise decides to take revenge afterwards. Although he can become a subordinate of a Team Rocket executive, there is no comparison. Direct subordinates are treated very differently by their bosses than normal subordinates. Direct subordinates have many advantages over normal subordinates. That's why the position of a direct subordinate of a Team Rocket elite captain is higher than a subordinate of a Team Rocket executive. Alex saw how Jasper handled the situation and thought, only if he wasn't so crazy, he would have become a good subordinate. Elise's plastic smile didn't change as she wordlessly took the items from Jasper. Although Jasper didn't hear anything else from Elise, he felt he had made the right decision. Losing 10,000 poke dollars was a minor pain for Jasper, but he still had enough money that it wasn't a huge loss. After this fight, no one else came forward to challenge. Alex ended the tournament and gave prizes to the top 10 like Team Rocket usually does. After the prizes were handed out, he said with a powerful voice, "Elise, come to my office in 30 minutes. Arthur, Jasper, and Simon, follow me now." Then he looked at the other rookie and said indifferently, "Andrew, you take care of the rest." Alex didn't feel like wasting time after these mediocre trainers. Although the talent in this group was much higher because Alex made A-rank Pokemon available to the rookies, most of the trainers were still not up to the standard Alex was hoping for. Only Arthur, Jasper, Simon, and Elise were good trainers, according to Alex. Alex believed that each of these trainers will at least reach the elite ranks in 1 year if they manage to survive till then, that is. Even talented trainers and Pokemon often die in the first year, when they are below the elite rank, without achieving their full potential. These trainers can try not to enter the wilderness in the first year, but this will have a very negative effect on the strength and potential of their Pokemon. Alex had made an appointment with Lisa before the tournament and told her about the talented rookies he would be bringing her. Lisa knew that Alex had given these rookies the option for choosing A-rank Pokemon and believed that many good trainers would show up in this selection. She accepted Alex's offer and promised him a little favor, as long as the rookies were good enough. Alex came with the 3 rookies in front of Lisa's door and knocked. Although he had an appointment, he didn't want to take any chance. "Come in." Alex and the rookies walked into the big office and saw a massive Pokemon sitting behind Lisa. Pokemon, Lugia, Half-Blood. LV, 48. Type, Psychic/Flying. Abilities, Pressure. Gender, Female. Potential, Shallow Diamond. Chapter 243. When Alex saw this huge Pokemon in this spacious office, he couldn't help but think, "Ah. So she wants to impress her new subordinate with her most majestic Pokemon. This Lugia seems to be making relatively little advances when it comes to move mastery." Alex took another close look at the info of Lugia and compared it with the info he saw 6 months ago. Although Alex does not remember all the information of Lugia after 6 months, he remembered the most important things. The level, the potential, and which move had reached the expert rank. He recalled that Lugia was, at LV 41, had a shallow diamond potential and only had 2 perfect talent moves on the expert rank. Alex was not surprised by Lisa not being able to improve the potential of Lugia. But the level and the move mastery was whole another matter. The fact that Lugia had risen 7 levels showed that Lisa had trained Lugia at least a lot in the wild and in general. But there being only 2 moves on the master rank and Lugia having no other move on the expert rank was not what Alex expected. Usually, it is possible for a good trainer to train his SS rank Pokemon's 1 perfect talent expert rank move to the master rank within a month. The level shows that Lisa trained Lugia a lot, but the move mastery says the total opposite. Alex thought for a moment what the reason could be, but he immediately recognized why this was so. "Is it my fault?" thought Alex with a wry smile. He often received Lugia's scales filled with energy that makes it impossible to train effective move for a period of time. Reinforcing a scale filled with energy for 1 month in a row ensures that a Pokemon can hardly use moves for the rest of the day. maximum enough to have a couple of long fights. And even after this month, the body has to slowly restore its energy. So it is normal to train its moves in a non-optimal manner for another half a month. It's really not worth making a Pokemon item if you don't want to waste a lot of time in move mastery. Move mastery is a very important part of the strength of a Pokemon, and the money is not worth enough for Alex to hardly be able to advance in move mastery. Alex also started thinking about the potential when he saw that it hadn't changed yet. Lugia was a born shallow diamond like all other half-blood legendary Pokemon, but she still couldn't improve her potential. Her born potential is even better than Steven's Metagross, but it's still on the shallow diamond. Lisa doesn't have to buy any items for Lugia. Wait a minute. Is it not possible for half-blood legendary Pokemon to improve their potential? Wondered Alex. Lisa looked at Alex, who was deep in thoughts, and got impatient as she said, "Hey, are you too shocked to say anything, or else why are you standing around like an idiot?" Alex, who heard Lisa berating him, had the feeling that Lisa was in a bad mood today. He said in a calm manner, "No, I'm just surprised that Executive Lisa has made such a great advance with Lugia." Lisa's eyes twitched briefly. Although Alex was right that Lugia had gained a lot of levels, her move mastery was ridiculously slow. If she wasn't sure that Alex cannot find such details about her Lugia, she would have thought that he was making fun of her. Executive Lisa. Before Lisa could say anything, Alex asked with a slightly vague tone, "By any chance, did you buy any items for Lugia to improve its potential? Because Lugia seems to look quite different today." Lisa, who heard such a stupid question, felt that Alex was making fun of her. One could see the slight anger in her eyes as she said, "What are you talking about? Lugia is SS rank, and it is not possible to reach a higher potential." Alex smiled when he said, "Haha, I know. I thought Executive Lisa would get it that I was just joking." Lisa rubbed her forehead and said, "Of all the days where you can be so annoying, it has to be today. Anyway, let's talk about the rookies you want to introduce me to." Alex didn't say anything and took out papers from his TRH device and gave them to Lisa without uttering a word. He had prepared these papers beforehand. He had told Andrew to make such papers on top 10 and other people who had A-rank Pokemon, keeping in mind that there might be someone with a hidden talent. Though that ended being pointless. Lisa noticed that Alex wanted to hide the contents of the 3 rookies and looked at the sheet of paper with a curious expression. Jasper Kleinman. Age 16. The only living relative is his father, Peter Kleinman. Talent value, 90. Intelligence, very high, but drops to below average when the mental state is out of stability. Loyalty, unknown. Mental state, very unstable if his Pokemon is injured but otherwise relatively stable. Pokemon, Arbok, very faithful, estimated level 22 to 25, estimated potential, S rank. Simon Webrun. Age 16. No living relatives. Talent value, 83. Intelligence, very high, but difficult to assess. Loyalty, unknown. Mental state, stable but difficult to assess. Pokemon, Coughing, estimated level 22 to 25, estimated potential, A rank. Arthur Jones. Age 16. Relatives, unknown. Talent value, 81. Intelligence, unknown. Loyalty, unknown. Mental state, stable but difficult to assess. Pokemon, Arbok, estimated level 20 to 23, estimated potential, A rank. Alex knew how Team Rocket documented its members and also used it to give Lisa the most important information. Everything was very self-explanatory except for talent value. You had to adhere to very strict requirements in order to enter the correct number. Talent value is a number that an appraiser has to give in order to roughly evaluate the potential of a trainer. A table has to be read that helps to find a correct number in this imprecise system. Talent similar to an Elite 4 member, 100 to 96. Talent similar to an average gym leader, 95 to 90. Talent similar to an average Team Rocket executive, 89 to 85. Talent similar to an average Team Rocket Elite Captain, 84 to 70. Talent similar to an average Team Rocket Captain, 69 to 50. Talent similar to an average Team Rocket Elite member, 49 to 30. Talent similar to an average Team Rocket member, 29 to 1. It should be noted that a value of 85 and over there denotes the rookies with the best talent. As for the values over 90 are very hard to come by, and each point is a huge leap in talent. Although Alex assesses the talent of these rookies, this is only his assessment and not confirmed by Team Rocket, so that it will not go into their files and is only used because Lisa has a better understanding of the rookies. 90 is pretty high, and Alex doesn't think that Jasper has the same talent as Misty or Brock, whom he rates as low gym leaders. But Jasper is probably just a little worse than Alex gave a 90 anyway. He knew that there was a big difference between 89 and 90, so he slightly overrated Jasper. Lisa saw what Alex had written and couldn't help but smile when she saw Alex write a score of 90 for Jasper. But after reading that Jasper has an S-rank Pokemon that is very faithful, she could understand why Alex wrote that. She looked at Alex, who was standing in front of her, and said, "Are you sure?" Alex looked at Lisa and said, "With the potential, I'm 99% sure." Lisa smiles again and said softly so that the rookie couldn't hear, "I'm very satisfied with this rookie, especially with a very talented one. But I'm curious. Why don't you take Jasper himself as a subordinate?" Alex knew that this question was coming. He said to himself, "I don't like dogs that I can't control." "I thought you could understand." Lisa didn't say anything for a moment. After a few seconds she said, "Okay, I owe you a little." Alex looked at Lisa with a smile and left the room with a smile. He didn't care what she did with these rookies after hearing those words. He opened the door in the room and left without saying another word. Chapter 244. Alex went back to his office and thought about the best way to find out the real side of Elise. All of Alex's Pokemon, except Shuppet, who was hiding in Alex's shadow, were in their Pokeballs, so the office was pretty empty. Graveler can use her ability to read emotions even when she is in her Pokeball. But according to Gardevoir, the range is greatly decreased. But the range of Elise sitting in the chair in front of him was enough for Gardevoir to hear, see, and perceive her emotions. Although Gardevoir can perceive emotion, it is essential that Alex steers the conversation in such a way that this ability can unfold its full effects. For example, if he asks whether Elise is a spy or not and Gardevoir feels a bit of nervousness from her, it doesn't mean that Elise is a spy. In the case of a false accusation, it is normal to briefly feel anger and then a slight nervousness after you have calmed down a bit. But this is the usual case, and many people may react differently in different situations depending on their personality. Alex heard in his old world about a case where a man was wrongly arrested for a robbery but was very calm throughout the interrogation and hardly reacted angrily to the unjust accusation. Also, in the questioning, his interrogator's first words were, "I know you are guilty and just want to ask why you committed this robbery." This would make any person retaliate angrily or make them nervous due to the first time having such an experience, but not this person. Normally, only the criminals, who have experienced such things many times, can keep their calm under the mental torture of such an intense interrogation. So, his calm and unwavering behavior made him look even more suspicious, even though he was totally innocent. Alex thought of another way how he can best find out the information he wanted to know without the personality distorting the result of his test. And that was the initial, genuine, instinctual reaction and the series of emotions she displays afterwards. He wanted to know whether or not Elise was a spy from the Alliance. And the best way to find out was him talking to Elise about the Alliance for a long time. If Graveler senses that Elise has hatred or long-term anger when she talks about the Alliance, Elise would immediately pass the test. If Elise holds negative emotions against the Alliance, it would be highly unlikely that she is a spy sent by the Alliance. Why would the Alliance send a spy who hates them? Alliance is not naive. The most valuable quality of a spy is her loyalty. Alex thinks that the Alliance sending a potentially disloyal spy is extremely unlikely. If Elise has no particular emotional fluctuation throughout the conversation, it is also a good result for Alex. If Alex talks to her about the Alliance for a long time, but she doesn't feel worried or nervous, then the chance of her being a spy would also be very low. But then he would have to do a few other tests to be absolutely sure to make sure that Elise isn't a monster who hardly feels any emotions. Only if she shows positive emotions or is nervous during the conversation would reinforce Alex's suspicion that she is a spy. Although it wouldn't prove she was a spy for sure, Alex would treat her that way afterwards and even tell Team Rocket about the possibility. Alex doesn't want to damage his good relationship with Team Rocket because he overlooked a spy. Although he felt that he was being a bit too cautious here, he didn't want to take any chances with his 3 direct subordinates. Alex intended to let only 3 of his direct subordinates know about his true identity, and that can only happen if he can really trust them. They will be the core of his organization in the future, so he doesn't want to take any risk of a spy being in one of those positions. As Alex thought about these things, he heard a knock and the voice of Elise. "May I come in, Instructor John?" "Yes," Alex gave a curt reply. Elise came into the room and examined the room in a brief second. Alex looked at her briefly and said, "Elise, it's good that you're here. Come, sit." Elise nodded with a gentle smile on her face and said, "Thank you very much for the hospitality, Instructor John." Alex gave a slight smile as he said, "No problem. You must be wondering why I want to talk to you, right?" Elise continued to answer with a polite tone, "I would be lying if I said that I am not curious. You can treat this as a friendly conversation combined with an interview." "Ah, Instructor John, this makes me a little nervous." Alex heard Gardevoir say via telepathy, "No," she's completely calm and even a little bit relieved. It seemed she was expecting something like this. Despite hearing the words from Gardevoir, Alex didn't change his face when he said, "Don't worry. I'll just ask a few easy questions and otherwise talk to you about a few light topics." "Okay, let's start with the first question. Why did you choose Spearow as your starter Pokemon, and why an A-rank Pokemon?" Alex wanted to hide his motives with these questions and, in the process, understand Elise's character a little better. "Oh! The reason is pretty simple. I wanted to have a flying-type Pokemon as a starter first, so I had to decide between Zubat and Spearow. And about choosing an A-rank Pokemon, any smart person who has confidence in her capabilities would do that. Of course, there is a risk. But it's a calculated risk." Alex showed a slightly curious expression when he said, "I see. And the reason for choosing Spearow?" There was a wide smile on Elise's face for the first time as she said, "Spearow and Spearow are just so cute that I had to pick them." Alex was slightly surprised and could not say anything for a short time. This reason was actually weird and too obvious, even for a lie. Gardevoir's voice could be heard in Alex's head again. She was in a slightly happy mood when she said that. Alex wasn't sure what to do with this info. Chapter 245. Although Elise told an odd reason for choosing Spearow as the starter Pokemon, her choice wasn't necessarily a mistake, according to Alex. Even if the species is objectively worse compared to other species, in games and in this world, it is not the most important factor in choosing a Pokemon. According to Alex, the potential is the most important factor when you are choosing a Pokemon, even more than the type or species of a Pokemon. Of course, there are also species that also have an advantage. But each Pokemon should be evaluated individually and not mainly based on its species. Though it is true that some Pokemon type appear better than others. For example, a Bug-type Pokemon compared to a Dragon-type Pokemon. Many Bug-type species have a lower average potential than the Pokemon species of other types. While there are no Dragon-type species where a Pokemon is born with a potential worse than A rank, with many even being born S rank. The average potential of many species can vary widely, but that doesn't mean that Dragon-type Pokemon species are necessarily better than Bug-type Pokemon species. Bug-type Pokemon still have a few species that have a good average potential. To give an example, the Volcarona species, like Dragon-type species, is born with at least an A-rank potential. Although all Dragon species have good potential, they all have huge drawbacks, such as the very late arrival of their final form. When you keep in mind that almost all rookies die in the first year, starting with a Dragon-type Pokemon like Dano is a very risky decision. And even as a normal elite trainer, it should be very difficult to reach high levels like 50 or even 55. This is also a reason why Hydreigon is often sold among all dragon species for the lowest price, even though this dragon species has the best average talent of all non-legendary dragon-type Pokémon. Who would want to wait until level 64, or even longer with bad luck, before his Pokémon can show its full strength? Apart from that, only the people like Elite Four or strong gym leaders have the potential to train such a Pokémon on this level. Each species has advantages and disadvantages to consider when choosing them as your team member. That's why Alex thinks that evaluating the individual Pokémon is the smartest way, and species is only one of the factors. Which moves or innate talent moves can often be more important to Alex than the species of a Pokémon. Even the character of a Pokémon can play a bigger role than the species. Although Alex thinks the reason Elise gave it is a bit stupid, he didn't believe that Elise really chose Pokémon based on the looks. After a short pause, Alex asked, trying to pry more, "Is that your main reason why you chose these Pokémon species?" Elise lightly chuckled as she said, "Hee hee. Instructor John, I'm sorry, but I thought that it was obvious that I was joking." Alex observed Elise's reaction and thought she looked really relaxed for the situation where she was. Well then. Let's talk about something else. What is your goal, or why did you join Team Rocket? Elise showed a happy expression as if she was waiting for this question. Oh! That's because Team Rocket is a very good place to become a Pokémon trainer. You can get so many things, and the restrictions are minimal compared to the benefits. Especially if you are strong or talented, it's a perfect choice. Gravewar's voice could be heard from Alex again. Her mood got a little brighter when she talked about it. Alex felt it was time to ask the questions that are important to him. I see. And, what do you think of the Alliance program for young trainers? After the Team Rocket question, this questioning seemed fluid and a perfect topic to follow after the previous question. Elise continued to smile. Instructor John, are you talking about the program where only 100 trainers get selected every year, or the Pokémon School? Alex looked closely at Elise and said, both. What do you think of them? Elise kept her composure as she said, I wasn't lucky enough to be able to participate in one of these programs or go to a school that offers something like that. I don't know much about it except that it is not for normal people and especially not for someone with low status like me. Alex said calmly, yes, the Alliance treats some groups of people a little bit worse, but most of the people thought that it wasn't as bad as you said. He said the words, most people thought it wasn't that bad, to get a reaction out of her. Elise's eyes were slightly out of focus as if she was thinking about something when she heard Alex's words. Alex waited and then heard the voice of Gardevoir as she said, I can feel many extreme emotions right now. But the strongest are anger, dislike, and contempt. Elise seemed to have put her thoughts aside after a few seconds. She said, this time without a smile, Instructor John, we both know that this aspect of the Alliance is very disgusting and unfair. So please don't test a reaction from me. I hate this particular topic. Alex smiled as he said, I'm sorry for the discomfort you felt. We have to do this to find out if you are a spy from the Alliance. But after seeing your reaction, I am now confident that you really have no positive opinion of the Alliance and that you are not a spy. Elise gave a wry smile and said, Spy? I understand now. You are really smart, Instructor John. I only noticed now that it was your intention all along. Alex didn't react to the blatant compliments of Elise. He asked Gardevoir telepathically, did she feel some kind of relief or worry when I told her that I believe her that she is not a spy? Gravevoir replied telepathically, no, I couldn't feel any kind of relief or worry. But I could feel slight anger, vigilance, and admiration. Alex, who heard this, now felt that Elise had passed the spy test. He felt that Elise cannot be a spy and that he now simply has to find out whether Elise, like Daniel, has a personality that he can easily control or predict. Okay, let's end the interview with one last question. How did you improve the potential of your Fiero? Elise showed a surprised expression and was suddenly on her toes as she began looking around the room. An S-rank Pokemon that is still below the elite rank and not has been with the trainer for too long is not that difficult to control, so it can be sold for money. And for an S-rank Fearow, you can get 8 or 10 million because it can be used as a flying mount. If Alex kills Elise or just takes her Pokemon, he can make 10 million Poke Dollars. Especially because Alex originally owned the Pokemon and Elise owed 70,000 Poke Dollar to Alex, he can easily think of a reason to snatch the Pokemon. Alex had such thoughts about Jasper's Arbok. But after seeing the relationship between Jasper and Arbok, he knew it wouldn't work. Selling gold Pokemon is much harder than silver Pokemon. Many buyers want to do multiple tests with the Pokemon before they buy it. It is also often only possible with sellers where there is a good relationship between buyers and sellers. Nobody buys an S-rank Pokemon that is uncontrollable and can kill the trainer. If Jasper and Arbok didn't have such a good relationship, Alex would have made a different decision and confiscated the Arbok. Jasper's father doesn't seem to be weak, but he doesn't have the strength that Alex should be afraid of. Since Jasper also owes him the money, he can give Team Rocket a reason and doesn't have to worry about punishment. It would still cause a bit of trouble, but for several million, it is worth it. Alex looked at Elise and said with a soothing tone, although you may not understand the reason, for now, I am urgently looking for people with a certain amount of talent. So I do not intend to take your Pokemon. Elise looked at Alex in surprise. She couldn't understand how several million are comparable to her. Although she is a proud person, she is not so arrogant or stupid. She clearly understands her current position. She does not come from a family with access to rare training exercises of Pokemon types or species or is a person with psychic powers. The potential of her Pokemon is good and maybe even better than many elite trainers, but that's about it. What is the goal of the instructor? Elise thought. That's the end of this tale for now. Thank you for watching and I'll see you in part 10. Peace.